All right, everybody. I'm going to kill the music and I'm going to switch the screen and welcome to today's stream. Can I switch the screen? Yeah, here we go. Welcome, everybody. There's me in my Santa hat. Welcome to the Fantasy Grounds College, Rob Twohy AMA. I am here with Leroon, the creator of the Fantasy Grounds College, and everyone else who happens to be in their Discord chat, as well as all of you joining us here on Twitch. We are going to have just an informal talk today, prize giveaways, and all kinds of stuff. If you have questions and you are in the Fantasy Grounds College Discord, the moderator will ask you to unmute your mic if you want to ask questions, and then they will call on you. If you are in the Twitch chat, you can post your questions in the chat, and my moderators will PM me in my Discord, and I'll try to get to all of those for you today. If you do end up asking a question and we miss you somehow, I will be happy to talk to you later today after the stream. You can all get on my Discord. So welcome, everybody, and I'd like to turn it over to Leroon, the starter of Fantasy Grounds College. And as I do that, I just need to remind people, we need to tell everyone that all of the prizes that we are giving away today, there's going to be over, I think, $300 worth of stuff. Doug Davison, the president of Smiteworks, the owners of Fantasy Grounds, has donated many, many prizes to our efforts here today, and it's being sponsored by Fantasy Grounds College. But we need to say right up front that Fantasy Grounds College itself is not a part or affiliated in any way with Smiteworks, and it's just a group of volunteers. They're approaching 1,000 people in their membership, and I'll let him explain that. And also, I need to say that I'm not part of it. I'm just a fan and a supporter. So, Leroon, take it away. Dear Lord, I don't hear him. Did all of that not get heard?
No, it did get heard. You just have to turn on the Twitch chat.
Dear Lord. I hear you. I don't hear him.
No, you actually have to unmute your Twitch, and then you'll be able to hear it.
Right, but I didn't hear anything in the Discord channel from you, Rob.
Oh, you didn't?
Nope.
How about now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I know what happened. Yeah. Wow. Sorry about that. What happened is, Discord loses focus if you don't open it as administrator. So let me back out and come right back in, and I'll be gone a second. And perhaps while I'm backing out and coming in, you can explain more about what I just said about Fantasy Grounds College and stuff. And I'll be right back.
All right, guys. So welcome to the first, actually FGC holiday special, I guess.
Oh my God, you guys! I screwed up the Discord thing again. I don't mean to be talking over him. I'm sure I am. Holy shit, technical difficulties, everybody. All right, am I back? I don't even know. All right, am I here? Oh, come on. Not today, everybody. What's wrong with this damn thing? I cannot hear anybody. I cannot hear anybody in Discord. All right, how about now?
Yeah,
Yep.
can you hear us now?
Okay, sorry, everybody. And then I realized when I was going out of Discord and coming back in, everything you said was not heard on the stream because it runs through my voice meter. So I don't think you were heard on the stream either. So I apologize for that. So we're back on track. Let's just start over. Welcome, everybody.
Yeah, welcome, guys.
So I think everything that you said was not heard on the stream. So it was just me smiling and panicking, and there was no sound. So everything you said was. You might want to have to say everything you said, I guess.
All right. So, I want to welcome all of you guys. If you're in the Twitch stream, that's good because that is where the prizes are going to be given out. Um, Rob and I have been planning this for a while, and we wanted to make this a kind of a special Christmas bonus gift type thing for everyone that participates in his live streams and here at the college. And we've been working on this for a while. We weren't sure how it was going to go down, but this is where we're at now. So, also, we're going to explain the Twitch thing to you guys before we get going. So that way you guys can understand how this works. Some of you don't even have Twitch. We also are going to talk to you later about the prizes and how that works. And then we're going to get into the questions for Rob. And if any of you have questions in the Discord channel, how we're going to do that is we're going to have everyone muted so that we don't get stray sounds in the live feed. And when you have a question, just go ahead and unmute your mic and we will answer the questions. We have somebody actually looking for that. And if you don't know how to do that, just right click on your own user ID and you can unmute and mute from there. And so I'm going to let Rob explain exactly how Twitch works and also how the prize is going to work and how it's going to be interfaced in his stream.
Okay.
Go ahead, Rob.
Thank you. So when we give away prizes, and there's a huge list of prizes, we're going to give away at least 19 things today, including a Fantasy Grounds standard license, a copy of each of the adventures in Fantasy Grounds, as well as an FGC sponsored coding package of mine on the DMs Guild, and then the grand prize that I'm going to give away at the end of the stream is everything I own on the DMs Guild as one big thing. So how we're going to do that is we're going to run a contest, the first of which, by the way, we will do now, just to show you how it works.
All right.
So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to give away a copy of Lost Mine of Phandelver's Fantasy Ground module. So in just a second, I'll start that in the chat. It'll be really easy for you guys to see how it works. As a reminder, we would throughout the day, of course, like people that win, to not enter again and be greedy and try to win a second or third prize. Give everyone else a chance. So if you do win, hopefully you'll not enter again. We'll leave that up to you guys to try to follow that along. But I'm going to go ahead and start this one. So in the chat, you'll see keyword raffle. In order to enter it, you type in !win. And then as people do that, it will fill up the list, and then I'll run a timer for 5 minutes, and at the end of the 5 minutes, we'll draw that prize. And the Fantasy Grounds license is a key for the standard license. When we give that away, all of the Fantasy Grounds modules are keys for Steam. So if you use Fantasy Grounds on Steam, or you want to use it on Steam, it'll be a Steam key. If you do not use Fantasy Grounds on Steam, we will have to work with you to ask Doug Davison to change that key into a just putting your Fantasy Grounds email and information into the system and giving you that module. So we'll work that out. But anyway, that's how that works. And then Leroon, before we started today, you were asking me that you wanted me to explain just Twitch in general, because a lot of people don't know when they come to watch the game about the bits and all that stuff. Is that true?
Yeah, that's true. I'm kind of ignorant about it. I'm pretty new to it, and I'm thinking that it would be nice to go over that so the students here and people at large can understand how all that works.
Okay, great. So, in the chat, if you're on your phone or if you're watching Twitch on TV or something like that, I know a lot of people do that. They don't actually see the chat. They might not know what I'm talking about right now, but if you're if you're on a computer or on an app that has the chat, down on the bottom right, you can share bits to the stream. And how that works is you purchase those from Twitch. Actually, you're purchasing them from Amazon because Amazon owns Twitch, right? So you purchase those bits, and they're basically 1 bit equals a penny, and then people can cheer those in the stream, even one at a time. You can do one for 1 penny, or if someone does 100, that's $1, right? And then a little fun game that a lot of streamers have is if you look down at the bottom right, you see the bit boss. Current bit boss is Shadzar, and when people bid bits, or sorry, cheer bits, it takes down the bit boss for each one that you do. And then if you crash the guy all the way to 0, then you're the new bit boss. And even if you overbid by 1 at that point, it starts it over at 100. But it also carries over on bigger amounts. So say, for example, right now, Shadzar has 99. If someone were to cheer 500 bits, they would go to the new bit boss at 401. So you take the amount that's there and then subtract it from the new amount. Also, there's Layroon cheering 1,000,000 bits. He cheered 1,000,000. I don't know how many that was, but you're going to see because the bit boss is going to crash and go up to the new amount. And thank you, by the way.
Cheer
other,
bits. Cheer bits
oh,
in the
yeah.
stream. Thanks for the cheer bits.
The other thing is I have my voice set to trigger if anybody does anything over 100. So that might get annoying if everybody is cheering a lot, but we can turn that off. But it's awesome because, you know, every bit of that money goes to me. So that's great stuff. But that's how that works. And then other people on their streams, you can make donations, or you can also subscribe. A lot of people don't know, a lot of people do, but some people don't, is that if you happen to be an Amazon Prime member, you can subscribe to someone's Twitch channel for free. Now, they let you do that to one person. So if you want to subscribe to my channel, for example, you wouldn't be able to then use that same Amazon Prime subscription to do any other Twitch person for their subscription. The regular subscriptions, of course, are $4.99, $9.99, and $24.99 if you decide to do that. But the Prime one's free and it lasts 30 days. And then after it's up, you can spread the love and go do it to someone else's channel. That's what I do. I subscribe over here, and then I go subscribe to that guy, and then I subscribe to this guy, and I kind of spread the love around with my Amazon Prime membership. But that's how that works. Did I leave anything out? Did I cover everything?
I think so. I just wanted to remind people that there's a 10-second delay. And so if you're on both Discord and the Twitch stream, you have to probably mute one or the other. And if you're in Discord, it'd be best if you muted the Twitch. You can still watch the video. I just don't want you to get confused. So if that's the case, then that's how you deal with that. Or you'll get a delay and it'll really mess you up.
Right. It's like when you call in a radio station, they tell you to turn your radio off, and you're like, why? And they're like, just do it. Because you'll hear yourself and you'll stop and you won't be able to figure it out. So yeah, there is a delay on Twitch, and it's between 10 and 15 seconds depending.
Okay.
So let's see. I probably yapped for a while. Is the contest over? Oh, 3, 2, 1. Right now, it just ended. Okay, so we ended it. We've got 16 people entered. So I'm going to draw a winner right now.
Okay.
The winner is Mechanical Heathen. I hope that's how you say that. So congratulations to Mechanical Heathen. You have won a copy of the Fantasy Grounds module for Lost Mind of Phandelver. I will record his Twitch name. And I'm going to record everyone's Twitch name, and then we'll whisper you later and tell you how to actually claim that prize.
Cool. That's awesome. I actually want that module too.
It's a great module, and that's the best one. If you've never DM'd a module, that's the best one to do because it kind of actually walks you through it. Okay, let's before we go to any questions, let's start the next. In order to give away all these prizes in under 2 hours, we literally have to do one every 5 minutes. So let me go to the next one. The next one is going to be a module from the DM's Guild called The Haunt, and this is by Phil Beckwith, also known as PB Publishing. I did the Fantasy Grounds conversion of this, and he said that we could give away that today as well. We're going to give away a couple of his other works, but this is a scary one shot called The Haunt. So we'll put that in there.
Okay.
And we will start it up.
All right. So I have a question for you, Rob.
All right.
So we're here to talk about the holidays, and we're also here to talk about Fantasy Grounds, and then all the other stuff too, if we need to. So if
Right.
any of you have questions, you can either type or in the chat for the Twitch stream, or you can ask in voice by unmuting yourself, and then our moderator will give a blue light to let us know that you have a question. So I'm going to start this off with the big one here. So in the future, where do you think virtual tabletop is heading in the next 5 years? So how much of that market you think will be geared more towards virtual tabletop as opposed to tabletop versions?
So that's an excellent question, and I have to state before I give my answer that this is strictly my opinion, and I am by no means an expert on this. So many people might disagree with what I'm about to say, but my opinion about it is that role-playing games, and I'm a big 5e person. I'm like D&D 5e all the way. I barely touch anything else. But role-playing games in general have been very popular for a while at home around the kitchen table, right? And since the advent of virtual tabletop, which has been around for nearly a decade, most people hadn't really caught on to it, but Fantasy Grounds and then some other unmentionable applications that are out there have been around for a while, becoming very popular last few years, right? I think in the next 5 years, especially with the advent of Twitch and YouTube and everybody watching people play games, which is an odd phenomenon. I don't understand why people like it, but they do. They don't want to play; they want to watch people play. I think it's going to be more prevalent. I think it's only going to continue to gain popularity. And even in so much as people aren't streaming and they're just playing with their friends online, even if they're not letting anyone else in on it like we do, I think it's going to just gain popularity, and I think it's going to skyrocket. That's just my opinion. We'll see if I'm right about that. But the greatest thing about Fantasy Grounds and any of these other virtual tabletops that you might be using is that you can play Pathfinder, you can play Star Wars, you can play Star Trek, you can play Cthulhu, you can play Savage Worlds, you can do almost anything you want. And Fantasy Grounds has a lot of the official licenses for a lot of the ones I mentioned, and more that I don't even, because I'm just a 5e guy, but I think it's going to just take off and be even bigger than it is now.
All right, cool. Anybody else have a question for Rob?
I've got one in the chat here. I'll take that one. What is the best way to use camera with your players and not stream? I'm not sure I actually understand that question. The question, I'll read it again. What is the best way to use camera with your players and not stream?
Ooh.
So I guess if I take that question to mean what I think it means is you want to play a game maybe on Google Hangouts or something and see your players' faces, but on the internet, because you're all in different cities across the planet, but you're not streaming it. So I would say Google Hangouts, in my estimation, is probably the best for that. I've only done that one time, and I stream with players, but I don't use other people's cameras. When I first started streaming, I tried to do that. I tried to have everybody's face on the screen, and it just didn't work out. People didn't know how to work their cameras, or my machine couldn't handle the video, and it was just a huge nightmare, so we scrapped it, and I've never gone back to it. But you will see a lot of streamers do that, where they barely even show the game board or the dice or the tokens on the map or anything. That's not their concentration. Their concentration is the faces of the players, so that they can see each other and stuff like that. And I think there's value in that. I just don't do that myself. But I guess the answer to the question is Google Hangouts.
Okay. So I have another question about Fantasy Grounds. So in your opinion, what do you think about Fantasy Grounds and how it stands apart from the competition?
There's a guy on YouTube, DM Cody, who just a couple of days ago did a comparison in pricing for Fantasy Grounds versus Roll20. So I do want to talk about that a little bit. It was an awesome video. But generally speaking, I've looked at Roll20. I've looked at some other virtual tabletops. I got excited years ago about some things that just never happened. Like at one point, Wizards was creating a virtual tabletop, and they just scrapped it and forgot about it. This was way back in 4E, and I I think that Fantasy Grounds is far and above. Again, my opinion only. Far and above, just way out in front. Not even a competition above any of the other platforms. It's not even a comparison. They're not even in the same class. Now, people will take issue with me on that. They'll be like, no, Roll20 is cheaper, which is absolutely not true. Now, if you're a player and you just play in a game and you want to get on Roll20 or Fantasy Grounds and just play for free, you can do that. But if you want to get into it, if you want to play all the 5e games, you want to play any of the other rule sets, and you want to dungeon master, you go and you watch this video on YouTube that DM Cody did, and he does a year over year comparison on the money you'll spend if you buy the license and you buy all the modules. The WotC modules at Roll20 are $50. At Fantasy Grounds, they're more like $25. They're like half the price. And year over year, for a 2-year comparison he did, you're spending like $300 on Fantasy Grounds to buy the license and all the other modules and everything, and then you're spending like $700 on Roll20. It's crazy. But my answer is that Fantasy Grounds doesn't even compare. The only thing Fantasy Grounds doesn't have currently that Roll20 has that's worth anything is dynamic lighting. But as soon as Fantasy Grounds puts out the Unity engine, which is allegedly coming soon, it'll have that, and then there won't even be a way to touch it. It's the best.
So in the college recently, our running joke is every 3 months. So
You
whenever
just started it again.
yeah, whenever someone asks that question, we say 3 months from now, and so it just keeps pushing it out further.
Yeah, that's funny. Okay, let's give away the prize. We had 8 people enter in for the haunt. I drew a winner, and the winner is Blazing Ice. So congrats to Blazing Ice.
Nice.
I will mark that down.
Rob, when you're done marking that down, we've got a question in the Discord here from Scuddy.
Okay, let me start the next one for a map pack. This is a Fantasy Grounds map pack. I don't know how many are in it, but it's digital maps that you can use in Fantasy Grounds. So let me start that one, and then I will take that question. Let's see. Got to keep the prizes flowing, everybody. Okay, the map pack thing has been started, and yeah, go ahead with the question.
Go ahead, Scuddy.
Me? Oh, I don't have a question, but Victor Gono has a question. What's the plans for 2018?
Good questions.
Yeah. Plans for what for 2018? Was that for me or for Fantasy Grounds College or what? I don't.
Fantasy Grounds College, I imagine.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Lauren.
Okay, so as far as Fantasy Grounds College goes, I think we're going to end up kind of getting more into games. We're already starting to offer that now. We have a path to Adventure League, we have a path to a Homebrew Explorers Guild, and we also have a path to a place called Sleeper Island, which is a big West Marches campaign. So when you guys get trained in the college, you have somewhere to go to find games. And I would also like to offer that to our supporting streamers. So I want to make a jumping point for all of the streamers that support the college. So I'm talking like GeoQuester and Lazy Stooner and anyone that really cares and that's trying to make this community better and even the community outside of here. So I invite all you streamers that want to have people participate in your games to consider that. And in 2018, I'd like to make a room for you guys and a jumping point. So as soon as the students get done, they can go there and it launches them right to your to your server or to your Discord or anything that you have that's attached to playing Fantasy Grounds. So
That's
that's
awesome.
one of the goals.
Cool.
Cool.
I've got a question in here from Twitch chat from Vertigo. How do you see the problem most new players face finding a group and a GM for weekly sessions, and how can that be better addressed? So my best answer to that, if you're speaking about Fantasy Grounds specifically, is the forums on Fantasy Grounds has a looking for game. Most people on their Discord have that. I think Reddit has it. You just need to be out there looking for LFGs, looking for games that are posted everywhere. The Fantasy Grounds Discord has it. You can find it if you look for it. And
Ooh.
there are so many players and not enough GMs. And so you can find games if you look for it. You just have to dig. But if you can't find a GM, my suggestion is be a GM. Turn yourself from a player into a dungeon master, and you will have more friends than you can count. That's my advice.
Yeah, I agree. And in the college, I'm actually starting to build a curriculum and practicing doing those. And I've already run 1.5 of those. So that's going to make it to where I'm training people to start GMing. So that's one answer to that I hope to address in the college. Because that, believe it or not, is the number one requested class type or lesson offering that people ask for.
Yeah, I can imagine so.
So I've got another question in the Discord here from Bubba Dragon for you, Rob.
Okay.
How would you work a mixed game where some people are remote on FG and some are local in person?
Yeah, I can answer that. I've actually done that. I haven't done that specifically, but I've run a local game with Fantasy Grounds. But we were all sitting around the table using dice and paper and pencil. And what I did was I projected the map on a separate laptop for people to see, and then they just had their character sheets and they rolled manually, and I just worked with the system. And Fantasy Grounds actually added a manual dice entry thing now, so instead of rolling and then changing the number, you can actually punch in the number. So if somebody wants to actually physically roll a dice, then you can do that. And you mainly would just use it for the combat tracker and the map and nothing else. But if you had people online and you had also people around your kitchen table or whatever, you could certainly do that, and it would be relatively easy to do that. And everybody could have a great time. And I've never known anybody that's wanted to do that, but it would certainly be possible.
It's awesome.
All right. It is time to give away the next prize. Apparently it's a map pack with a capital A because I have second letter capitalization syndrome. That's the thing I have when I'm typing. All right, so 15 people entered it. I will draw a winner for the map pack. Congratulations to Fanta Loves You. Fanta Loves You has won the map pack, so I will mark that down. Prizes are flowing, everybody. I'm going to put the next one in. This next prize is a player's handbook, also known as the core class pack from Fantasy Grounds. It's titled the core class pack, but it's really the player's handbook. So it's got everything in the hardback that is in Fantasy Grounds. This is a good one, so let me put that one in. And while I'm doing that, I can take the next question.
Okay. Any other questions out there? Okay, I have a question, Rob.
Okay.
So what's the funnest game or live event that you've streamed or participated in? And if so, can you remember the episode or the general whereabouts we could find it?
Yeah, I'm going to say, I mean, there's a lot of things I could slide into that answer, but the one that comes to my head just right away is the very first battle royale that we had. So we'll talk about the games that I run on my Twitch channel that people can participate in. But one thing I do is battle royale, and it's an unusual situation. It's not for everybody, and some people would say, "Oh no, I'm not interested in that." But the reason I started it is it's a PvP arena battle with 5th level Dungeons & Dragons 5e characters. And what I thought was unique and fun about it was you don't get a chance to do that. You know, Dungeons & Dragons is very much a cooperative game. You know, you work as a team and you solve the problems, you go find the bad guy and you kill his ass, and that's how that works. You know, it's more about story. So I decided to create an arena thing where people can make a 5th level character and come in there and just kick each other's ass. And I just thought it would be fun. And we've done 8 of them so far. But the very first one we did, this actually happened in another game too, but the first time it happened, we were all just laughing and having a great time. And this video is on YouTube. You can go watch it. Toward the end of that game, a player who was unconscious rolled a 20, came back to life and continued the battle, went down unconscious again, and then rolled another 20 and came back again. So he came back to life twice. And we all, yeah, we just couldn't believe it. It was so funny. And then we thought that was the greatest thing ever. And then I think the very next game that we played, that happened to another person again, and they came back twice from unconsciousness. So we just thought that was the greatest thing. I mean, there have been a lot of games that have had some funny moments. There were some really funny moments in the Curse of Strahd campaign that I ran, because all the players were from England, and you know, with accents and everything. It was hilarious. But that's the one that I chose to answer with, was the coming back from the dead twice.
Nice. So, just as a quick reminder, Fantasy Grounds College is free. We don't charge anything, but we do have a Patreon. You guys are not obligated to join that, but we do have that, and all we do with that is we put that out there so that we can keep our new website going, and I buy materials for the college for the most part. I don't usually pocket that type of money. It goes right back in the college. And also, the licenses that we have here were donated by Rob himself, by Fantasy Grounds College, and by Doug Davison himself. So he personally gave these keys to me to distribute out the way we wished. And this is what we chose to do as a holiday giveaway. We wanted to get this done before you guys all take off on vacation. So anyhow, back to
Awesome.
Rob.
I do have a question from the Twitch chat from Shadzar, who asks, why doesn't Fantasy Grounds have lighting effects like working Fog of War, when even the totally free map tools, better than Roll20, has it built in for free? Because unmasking areas on a map is failfish. So, oh, Gwydion erased that question, so I wanted to read it again, but oh well. So I'll do the best I can to remember that. The reason that Fantasy Grounds doesn't have that is because they're going to. They're working on it, and it's coming out with the Unity engine. So Smiteworks purchased a company and brought the guy that owned this like 3D lighting company on board with him. I forget the name of it. And they've had him for about a year, and they've been building this Unity engine version for over a year. And like we said earlier, it's going to come out sometime next year. We don't know why. You know, he's not about to give a date. He's not going to give a date because he doesn't want to give a date and then not meet it. So he's not going to give a date for release until he's absolutely sure, and they beta tested the crap out of it, and it's all ready to go, and it's all perfect. But when they release the Unity engine, there is a video on YouTube that you can go watch, and it shows the dynamic lighting effects. It shows them moving a token around the map, and like the flashlight looking thing to places you can see where that character is standing, and then when that character goes around the corner, they can't see that area anymore. And I believe that that's even going to apply to individual players. It's going to be really cool. DMs will be able to show a map, have the tokens on the map for the players, and only the player that you will only be able to see the parts of the map that you can see. So a lot of times right now, Shad's talking about Fog of War, where, you know, the DM can shade the whole map in Fantasy Grounds, but once you unshade it, players have to not metagame, because you can see other things that other players can see that you really shouldn't see because you're hiding around the corner. But that Unity engine is going to fix all that. It's going to be awesome.
All right. Any more questions?
It's time to give away a prize. All right, we are going to give away the player's handbook from Fantasy Grounds. Here we go. Congratulations to Jurinal, Jirinal, Jurinal, I think is how you say that. Nice job.
Cool.
Jurinal wins the player's handbook. I will mark that down.
All right. So
But-
while Rob's getting the next one going, I'm going to let you guys know that we do not work for Fantasy Grounds themselves or Smiteworks. We are just a community. We are supportive of Fantasy Grounds and Smiteworks, but we do not work for them or we're not affiliated with them. However, being that we are not, Doug is inclined to donate things to us occasionally. But if we were working for him as an affiliate, this whole thing would be totally different. And I kind of like it like this for now. So, what's the next prize, Rob?
Next prize, Fantasy Grounds Curse of Strahd module. It's already going. It's on the 5-minute timer, and if you guys want it, type in !win, and you can enter to win Curse of Strahd from Fantasy Grounds.
All right, cool. So I have another question for you, unless you find one before me.
Well, I was gonna ask something actually.
Okay.
As somebody who's learning to DM, I've been playing D&D for about 6 months now, 5-6 months, and it's amazing. What would you say was your hardest thing in learning to DM? And like, what would be the thing that you would focus on more as somebody who's trying to become a DM?
Well, before I give my answer, let me just say that every person's different, and my struggle might not be the struggle of someone else.
Sure, of course.
But my struggle with DMing is I'm lazy. And people will say, no, you're not lazy. Look at all the stuff you do. But when it comes to DMing, I'm a super lazy DM. I took to heart advice that was given by Jeremy Crawford, who is basically the rules lawyer for WotC. And he said, you should prepare, but you should never over-prepare. Because whatever you have ready to go, your players are going to go the other way. If you have a whole thing planned to the east, they're going to go, let's go west, and it's all out the window. So especially when I'm running a campaign that's pre-written stuff, it's a lot easier to do your own stuff because you know your world in your head. And if something goes a different way, you know in your head what's going on. But if you're using, someone else's material, you read the book and you, okay, that's what happens there. But the players aren't going to do what's supposed to happen. So you got to be ready to do improv and stuff like that. Now, I was a professional comedian for 15 years, and I've had improv training, and I've done improv shows with Second City. So it's easy for me to just make stuff up, but I like to try to keep the players engaged and let them know what they do. But probably the biggest struggle for me is lazy preparation, which I tell myself not to do anyway, and then I should do more, but I don't. So I hope that answers it. But every DM has a different thing, and I would say any advice that I have, again, I'm probably 25,000 down the list of DMs in the world. I don't even know if there's maybe that's not even, that should be a bigger number. But each DM, especially new DMs, should not pressure themselves to feel bad. That's what happens to me. Is I feel if the players aren't having enough fun, that's all I care about. I just want it to be fun, and I try to do the best I can to continue to make it fun. Thanks for the subs, by the way, everybody.
Cool. And I can also attest to that mantra there with the DMing. The thing that I'm doing now, as time goes on, is chemistry. So I'm always looking for player chemistry. So that's a really big thing. Managing people is a really difficult thing, and schedules. And the scheduling is what I struggle with the most. And also picking or handpicking the right people, or sometimes it's all by luck. It all depends. But anyhow, I wanted to see where we're at on the prize. Rob, are we there yet?
We got a minute to go on the Curse of Strahd prize.
Okay.
And I do have a question from the Twitch chat from Dagger46, who says, what are the extensions you currently use for Fantasy Grounds? I don't know if he's asking me this because he's seen a recent video. I use every extension. I don't know. I use too many. Extensions, for those of you that don't know, they're community-made programs that you can add into Fantasy Grounds as you play. For example, one of my favorite ones is one that makes the font bigger so that I can read it, because I'm old and I wear glasses and I can't see. So, but there are many extensions available on the forums from the Fantasy Grounds community, and they do things like make the buttons on the side colored, or add in certain functionalities. Like there's one that'll let you, one that you and I like, Laroon, that's a favorite of ours, is that it'll let you copy text and paste it into a dice rollable table. There's another one that'll let you paste it into an inline table in a story entry. There's extensions for, say, for example, your character dies, it'll put a blood splat on the token. I mean, there's amazing stuff that people have created. So I use a lot of those. And it was GeoQuester who the other day during the stream reminded me that if you're not using extensions, to turn them off, because when Fantasy Grounds loads, it loads all those extensions and it bogs it down. So they're great to have and they're great to use, but if you're using ones on certain games and not the others, don't just load all your extensions. Go in and turn off the ones that you don't need, because it slows down the loading process and the the play. So, but they're great. So the answer to his question, which ones do I use? I mean, I probably use 14 or 15 of them. So there's a lot.
So nice. So we could give out the prize, I guess, but I have a nice question in your chat that I'd like to answer.
All right, so we are going to give out the prize. I'm going to draw the winner for Curse of Strahd. Congratulations to Dead Hand. Dead Hand is the winner of Curse of Strahd, and I will put in the next one. And the next one is another one of Phil Beckwith's DM's Guild module that I put on for Fantasy Grounds, called Hex Witch. This is a 5e player class that is pretty fantastic, so I will put that in. And Leroon, you can go ahead with your question.
Okay, so Vertigo asked me and the college itself, do you have any plans to add in some more classes for learning players and future DMs to roleplay, and maybe learn some of the lore and the common roleplay scenarios for like monsters and things like that? Apparently he has English as a second language, and D&D and role playing and things like that, NPCs can be very daunting for a new player or a new DM. So my answer is, as soon as I can get more teachers, we will be offering that. And as it is, I'm spending a lot of time in my personal life doing this, and this is an all volunteer thing. So whenever I can get people to teach, I'm happy. I also do one-on-ones. A lot of times we do unplanned classes. So you just keep hanging out in this college, and maybe eventually you'll become a teacher. I mean, we learn from everybody. We learn from each other, and we also learn from the people above us, like Watsy and all those guys. And if you guys really want to learn other things, you can go onto these streams. Like I go on to GeoQuester's stream and Rob's stream and all the other guys, and I notice that there's things that I don't know. And so when I figure that out, I try to incorporate that in my lessons. So that's one thing that we're planning on doing. Yes, the answer is yes. We do plan on doing more classes. Can I guarantee that? No, because it's all volunteer. So hopefully that helps you out, Vertigo. So any other questions?
I do have a question. Oh yeah, good. No, go ahead.
Laura, I want to know from Rob, what is his expectations for the foreign languages? If he expects to in the future have some translations or not for Fantasy Grounds?
The answer is yes. Leroon, can I talk about specifically what you and I've talked about before about that, or is that still a secret?
No, go ahead. We might as well tell everyone because it's coming up. So let's go ahead and announce that.
So we've had pretty good response with from some of the community members that I know with my module Unknown Whom. It's available in the DM's Guild, and it starts players out at level 0. Actually, you show up to the game and you don't have to prepare. Part of the adventure is building your character, and we have talked about getting that translated into as many languages as we can get it in translated to. So what that means is basically anyone who speaks a language other than English and also speaks English has to volunteer to translate that for us. But we are absolutely going to try to do that. And once we do that, we then think we can say, hey, look what we did, and then get other people on board to start making things available that anyone's done and get people to translate that. And we've already got, I think, Spanish, French, Portuguese, Italian. Maybe Leroon, you can better speak to the number of languages that you know people can help us with.
So yeah, like German, Russian, all kinds of different languages. But the main thing there is we discuss pricing. Now we can't guarantee this, but what we would like to do is price those so that they kind of match the economy as to what language is going to be spoken. So if you speak French, hopefully you live in France and you'll have that price there, so that would help you purchase, because not everyone's on the same playing field as far as the economy goes. So we discussed that. Another thing is we're going to try this. So if this works and it actually generates some interest, then we're going to do more of them, and we're going to try this one out and see how it goes. And if it's a big hassle, then we probably won't do it again. But if it works out nicely, maybe it'll set a trend to where other people will start offering this. And for you folks that volunteer to do translations, not only will you get a free module out of it, but you'll also possibly have more work down the road. So that's something you want to think about when you join this project. And we'll meet about that in the future.
Yeah, so anybody that happens to be listening or watching now, or if you see this video on YouTube later, and you are a person who speaks both English and another language, get a hold of Fantasy Grounds College and let them know if you're interested in making translations. Because we want, we're all, I mean, this sounds a little sappy, guys, okay? It's a little sappy, but we do believe that, D&D is a great thing, and that the communities we're trying to build, all of the streamers and the Fantasy Grounds College, the whole thing behind all of it,
Cheerbits in the stream.
is
Thanks
that,
for the cheerbits.
wow, Johnny Knightley, 1,000 bits. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. No, 10,000 bits. He cheered. That's amazing. Sorry, I got distracted. That'll do that. 10,000 bits will distract me, everybody.
Cheerbits. Cheerbits in the stream.
So
Thanks
anyway,
for the cheerbits.
we, again, it's sappy, but we really do believe that D&D is a great hobby, and we want everyone to enjoy it, as many people as possible, and that includes everybody on planet Earth, anybody who speaks a foreign language that doesn't have as much material. I know that Gale Force 9 is translating some of the works of WotC, Wizards of the Coast, into foreign languages, but the more we can do to help that effort, the better it is. So that's what we want to do. Let's give away a prize, everybody. Let's give away the Hex Witch.
All right.
The winner is Furied Fate. Congratulations, yes. Furied Fate, on winning Hex Witch. Let me mark that down. And the next one, oh snap, everybody! The next one's the Monster Manual.
Oh yeah, that's
that's a good one.
That's awesome. So, being that you have the Monster Manual up there, what is your favorite setting, Rob, for Wizards of the Coast? Official campaign setting so far?
Okay, so that's a qualified question. My answer is absolutely Dragonlance, which we don't have in 5th edition yet. I am not a reader. I don't read per se. I'm not a booker. I'm not a learner person. But when I was in the Army and I was trapped in Korea, I got a hold of the Dragonlance Chronicles, the first 3, way back when. I'm old, okay? This was in the 80s. And I read those. I actually read those cover to cover, really super enjoyed it. And the people that I was in the barracks with in Seoul, Korea, this was in like 1986-ish. I got on a helicopter. I'm not even joking. I got on a Huey. I flew to Seoul and went to the PX, and I bought the player's handbook and all this other stuff that I didn't bring with me to Korea. And I just bought it all. And then I saw these modules, Dragonlance, and I'm like, oh my God. So we got those back, and we got the map out, and we posted it on the wall in our room. There's 4 people in one room in the Army because it's crowded and it's horrible. But we just played D&D forever, and that's probably the funnest I've ever had, was playing the Dragonlance characters in that world. And I'm just hoping that they eventually release that. There's supposed to be a movie. I don't know what the hell's going on. But anyway, Dragonlance is the answer to the question, hands down.
So I have a question from Incendius here in the Discord for you, Rob. or anybody really, has anyone worked out a way to tie token movement from multiple maps together? The use would be in layered structures, ships or arenas, for example. The idea being to facilitate a 3D environment with fewer actions for the DM.
I'm going to answer that in two parts. The first part is no. The second part is what I do and what I've seen people do is have 2 or 3, or if you're GeoQuester, 10 maps on a screen at a time, and then just move the tokens between maps, and in some cases only share certain maps with certain players. It's really convoluted and it's a huge pain, but it's really cool if you're doing, if you're moving tokens to different maps. But there's no, at this time, and I don't even see how they would do it. I mean, I'm not a programmer, so maybe it's possible, but I don't know how they would do it, where you would be able to do it across maps with the same token or what. I don't even know how that would be possible. But as of now, the way to do it is if you're moving, like say you've got people on the first floor and you want people on the second floor, or you're on the poop deck and you want to go below deck or something like that, you just move the token to the other map and it disappears off the other map. So the player is only on one map at a time. You can't really, in using tokens from the combat tracker, you can't place a person on a map twice. You can place a token picture of them twice, but not the actual combat token. So I hope that answers the question, but basically the answer at this time anyway is no.
All right.
You have another question here, Rob, from Big Pink Tuna. He says his biggest concern as a new player is time. The lengths of gameplay vary from very short to many hours, and interruptions tolerated.
Yeah, okay. So the best thing I can say about that is that there's 2 schools of people that play games, and one school is the person who doesn't want to play very long, and the other person type is someone who, if you don't play long, it's not worth it to them. So there's short players and long players, right? So the average, I think even at your kitchen table or using Fantasy Grounds or however you're playing a game, most people do it once a week. Most people get together with people, whether it's online, virtually, or in a physical environment in your town, and it's a special event. You drive your car to that person's house, or you block out time away from your family to get online, and so you're making a special time for it. And usually it's not even worth doing unless it's at least 3 or 4 hours. So I would say there's that type of person, and then there's the other power gamers who want to just play 24 hours a day as much as they can, and they don't give a crap if it's 15 minutes or 5 hours. So it just depends on the type of person or the type of player that you are. But you will find that most quote campaigns, those people play for 3 or 4 hours each time they do it. And then if there's one shots or just a singular game, like maybe the Battle Royale, those games tend to be way shorter, like maybe an hour or 2. So I hope that answers the question.
All right.
Ooh, is it time to get... Oh, it's prize time.
Okay.
Who's going to win the Monster Manual? Holy crap. This hat's making me hot, everybody. Winner is Vertigo.
Yeah.
Vertigo has won the Monster Manual. Let me write that down. Yeah, V3RT1 Go. I got to spell that right.
Awesome.
Okay, let's put in the next prize. The next prize is, my favorite module. This is my favorite module to run. It's Princes of the Apocalypse. That is my absolute favorite adventure to be a DM for. Let me put that in, and we can take the next question.
All right. Any other questions in the chats or the live Discord? Or
yeah, this one's for Leyrun, and I'm a baddie and didn't write down the name, so I apologize to whoever
right
asked
now,
it.
I don't have anything. Does anybody want to ask any questions in Discord here?
Stand by. So there must be 2 different avenues of voice, because I'm hearing Stooner and the moderator from FGC. I don't know how that's possible.
Okay. So let's go Stooner.
Yeah, it's for Leyrun. He says, are there any plans for a player perspective of the classes being offered now in FGC?
As far as play or lessons, but as far as play goes, I'm not sure. That would be probably a custom game, and allowing one of the players to host it and show how that works. As far as doing more of an adventure style lesson, yes, we have those in place. We have to get people to teach them, but we have an exploration, a combat, and also an upcoming role playing one. So hopefully that answers your questions. I'm not sure exactly what the nature of the question was, but hopefully that answers it. All right. So I have a question in those regards, Rob.
Okay.
This is from me to you. Would you consider teaching, meaning instruction, or even if it had to do with Discord or streaming or whatnot, maybe once a week in your live show? So doing an hour teaching type thing, kind of like what you do with your modules when you're converting. That shows me stuff, but something like that. Would you consider doing that on behalf of yourself and Fantasy Grounds College? I mean, I'm putting you on the spot here. You could say no.
I was just thinking that. Oh well, what if I say no? I'm just a huge jerk. Which I don't have a problem with. Yeah, I would consider about that. I've thought about that, and the thing about that is you can go onto YouTube, and there's plenty of people who are teaching you plenty of things about D&D and even Fantasy Grounds specifically. And so I would consider it. I just don't know what I would do specifically that would help people. Now, what I've done from time to time, I don't schedule these, and I do not put these on YouTube. I stream them live, and then they're gone. But I've let people in on watching me convert Fantasy Grounds modules, and that a certain subset of people like to watch that, and they learn. Maybe they want to do it themselves, and I can help them with tricks. And I've actually had people like Celestian, for example, and a couple other people, while I've been doing that, have said in the chat like, "Oh man, dude, here, let me give you this extension. This will save you a ton of time," and stuff like that. So I do like a collaborative process like that. My mother was a school teacher. She was a primary school, like fourth, fifth, and sixth grade school teacher. I absolutely do not have that gene. I am a bad teacher. So the idea of me holding a class doesn't sit well with me, but that's only because I don't think I'm a really good teacher. I'm not a patient man. I'm the kind of guy that if you tell the kid 2 plus 2 is 4, and then he comes to you later and says, "What is 2 plus 2 again?" I freak out, and I flip out and melt down. I told you it was 4. Like, don't you get it? And so I don't know that teaching a class would be for me. I would consider it, but it would have to be something that I was good at, that I could do, and that people wanted to see, and that I would be able to help them with. And I just, in my own head, haven't come up with. I mean, you asking me the question, puts it in my head, but I've never thought of that on my own. Like, oh, I should teach people this.
Okay.
I'm more, rather than teaching, I more try to provide them tools like the coding and stuff like that. So.
Right. Maybe we can do the player perspective thing that was asked earlier. That may be a thing.
The player perspective? What do you mean?
Like when you stream something, like let's just say you do a one-off type thing, maybe we can also show a player perspective on that.
When you say player's perspective, I'm not sure what you mean.
Because normally when someone streams, you see the DM's perspective normally. But it would be nice if we had a player's perspective from the side of the stream. So have someone else host a different avenue.
So I know that when we play, most of the players that are in my campaigns also stream their screen while we play. So someone could watch my DM screen and then watch their player screen. However, most of those people aren't making commentary on their stream while they're doing it. They're just showing it, and you hear me.
Right.
But they could do that. But I mean that it's really easy for anybody that's running a game on Fantasy Grounds, or any game, even if they're not using Fantasy Grounds. How dare they? It's really easy for the DM to stream and then have all have any number of the players stream as well. And we say that in our stream sometimes. We say, hey, you know, this is the DM screen. If you want to see what it looks like on the player side, you know, go to his stream or her stream like that. So that is very possible. Oh, and it's prize time, everybody.
All right.
It is Princes of the Apocalypse time, and the winner is Scooty Games Original.
Yeah.
Yay!
Scooty Games Original
Cool.
has won the Prince of the Apocalypse. Let me just write that down, and we'll get the next prize going.
Sweet.
The next prize is, the Dungeon Master's Guide. Oh, these are all just so good.
We need that.
The Fantasy Grounds Dungeon Master's Guide has everything in it, has all the rollable tables, has all the magic, has everything that the DMG has. It has everything the hardback has and literally more, because there's story templates and rollable table treasure parcel templates, and it's crazy. There's a magic item forge where you can mix magic item. You can make a potion of healing and filter of love combined together. It's crazy. So let me get that going.
Okay. All right. So as Rob's getting that set up, I have another question. If anybody else has one, I will defer to that. So anyone have a question for Rob or myself or about anything in particular?
There is a question from chat from Brigaden. I hope I'm saying that right. I just started Princes of the Apocalypse. Too many directions. How do you manage? So that's a very good question. POTA is very sandboxy, and you know, if you read the module or if you read the book, and it tells you the story, and it's kind of supposed to go like this, like this, like this, but it can go out of order. You know, there's 4 major sections that the players go through in that book without giving a spoiler away, and you kind of want to strong arm the players into going here first, here second, here third, here fourth. But that's because it's you know, those areas are based on level, right? How difficult it's going to be. But the funnest way to do it is just let players go where they want to go. Just let them explore the world. And if they, you know, if they're level 3 and they go into a level 9 dungeon and get their ass kicked, well, lesson learned. You know, the thing that players need to remember in D&D is it's not, there's no shame in running. Just run. You know, oh, we went to somewhere we shouldn't have gone. Let's go somewhere else and then come back. So POTA, Prince of the Apocalypse, and a few other of the Wizards of the Coast modules are sandboxy in that way, where you can let players go anywhere, but you're supposed to lead them in a certain order. And I've played it both ways, and I think it's just way more fun to allow the players to do what they want. And if they get into too much trouble, so be it. You know, things happen, and so that's my advice on that.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions before I ask?
I'll ask another question here. As you normally play DM, how hard do you find it to go to being a player, if you ever do?
Oh yeah, no, I do. I totally do. I love DMing, and I also love playing. And one of the hardest parts about DMing when you're streaming is that I very much concentrate on the game. And when I'm streaming, even now, like I'm not playing, but we're doing this, and I'm giving away prizes. So it's hard for me to pay attention to the stream chat, and I wanna interact with people. I want to talk to people, but when I'm DMing, you know, I'm doing 45 things at once, and it's hard for me to follow the Twitch chat. But when I'm a player, I don't even have to think. All I have to do is show up, and I can play, and I can talk to people in the chat, and I can answer questions, and I can Google stuff, and I can, you know, I can listen to music. I mean, I can do almost anything I want when I'm playing, because when you're playing online, you don't really need to spend as much focus as you do when you're being a DM. Now, that's not to say that I don't pay attention. I absolutely always play. I think it's disrespectful to come to someone's game and then just not pay attention. I, as a DM, I want all my players to give me their full attention at all times. But I'm able to, as a player, when it's not my turn, you know, I can answer a question in the chat, or I can, you know, grab a drink, or, you know, whatever it is I need to do. But I enjoy both. I enjoy playing and DMing. It's just that DMing is a lot harder only because you have to maintain focus, and there's many more things that you're in control of. So you have to kind of be on your game for that. On your game. That's a little pun. Sorry, everyone.
All right. So I got a question for you, Rob.
Yes, sir.
All right. So I know that you're really busy. You're a pretty dedicated community member for 5th edition virtual tabletop, but do you actually have time to do any real life things?
Are you talking about gaming or just like going to the grocery store?
To go into the grocery store.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of getting my groceries at Walmart. So what I do is I order them on the app. If anyone would like to do this, email me and I'll tell you how to get $10 off. You can do this yourself. I don't like people per se, so I order my groceries online. I drive my car to Walmart. I park. They bring them to my car, and then I go home. I don't even set foot in the building. I'm sure that's not really what you meant, but I do love to tell that story. But yeah, I went and saw Star Wars. I do leave the house, but I don't leave the house unnecessarily. There's snow outside.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I mean, I do, and then I also play. I play real life games as well. Every other Sunday, I go to my local gaming store, and I play Star Wars. The Edge of the Empire. Is that what it's called? I don't even know what it's called. And we role play that in real life with guys sitting around the table and roll those fakakta dice that have symbols on it that nobody knows what it means, but it's pretty fun. So I do stuff like that too. And it's time to give away another prize.
Okay.
Here comes the Dungeon Master's Guide, everybody.
Right.
The winner is John Night Sky. John Night Sky, congrats.
Nice.
Again, to all the winners, I will contact you after the stream and let you know how you can get these prizes. The next prize on the docket, prize number 10, is Fantasy Grounds module Horde of the Dragon Queen. So let me punch that in.
Okay,
Okay.
while you're doing that,
Yeah, go ahead. We're halfway through the prizes.
okay, I got a question here for you. Another one from Incendious. How important do you feel alignment is with the current design concept direction of 5e? Do you feel it should be given a greater impact as it was in previous editions? Is it the DM's job to enforce the few rules that are regarding alignment, or should this instead be something that players are regulating by role playing?
Okay, that's a tough question for me because I have my answer, and then I have the answer that I think should be given if it wasn't being asked to me. So my answer is I don't even pay attention to alignment. It's not even part of the game. So that's a bad answer for most people, who, especially for role players, but that's my answer. Now, the answer that should be given is that each individual DM and group of players should decide how they want to treat that. I am more a combat and a mechanics guy than I am a story or lore guy, which some people may find very disappointing. But there's a certain subset of people, all who have found me in my games, who like to kill rather than talk. So murder hobos and whatever you want to call it. But as far as alignment goes, again, each DM and group should decide how they want to treat that. And if it's heavy role play, if it's story driven, and characters want to play alignments, especially against and for each other amongst the party and all that, that's a fantastic way to play the game. I just don't personally enjoy that myself, but I think it's up to every group. And I think that WotC between editions toned it down specifically because it was too much of a focus for some people, and their play testers or their feedback. People said, we don't really want to have that be such a big part. But by toning it down, they've made it available, and then each group can decide how they want to use that.
I have an additional comment on that. And in Fantasy Grounds, you should probably put that in your character creation to have good or evil in your alignment, because if someone uses a spell that casts protection from good or protection from evil, I think it works off of that. So if you don't have that filled out, that spell will be useless. So I encourage you guys, especially DMs, to make people fill that out, even if they don't play that alignment properly, because I think mechanically that needs to be there. And that's the only thing in that note section other than your size that really affects the game mechanically.
I had not even realized that. That's a good point.
Yeah, I had people leave that off on purpose. So when they know they're going up against it like a Death Knight, per se, and they have protection from good, they leave that off so the spell is basically useless.
Okay. I have a question from Fury Fate. Rob Twohy, how guilty are you of backseat DMing? I don't even really know how to answer that question. I'm not even sure I know what that is. But backseat DMing, is that when you're a player in a game and you try to DM? I'm assuming that's what that means. So I wouldn't say I'm guilty of that. What I'm guilty of is not backseat DMing, but I will speak up if a rule is broken, and depending on who the DM is, and depending on how the game is going, if a rule is broken or if it's wrong, I'm the guy who speaks up and says, now, are we house ruling that, or are you just not using the rule right? I mean, I'm an asshole that way. But the reason I'm that way is because, you know, I mean, yeah, there's rule 0 and the DM can do whatever the fuck he wants. Oh, there's the first F-bomb, everybody. There it was. Everybody, mark, clip it, Twitch, clip it right now. The DM can do anything he wants, but I like DMs to state up front, here are the house rules. Here's what we're doing that's different than what the book says. Because if you come to a game and you're not told otherwise, you have to be able to assume that what's in the book is what you're doing.
Cheerbits in the stream. Thanks for the cheerbits.
I don't backseat DM, but I will ask for clarifications on rules if they're broken. That's my guilty pleasure. But I don't think I'm wrong in doing that because, like I said, you have to be able to assume, you know, if you're getting together with a bunch of strangers and you've never talked about it before and you're meeting for that first time that day, you're all operating on the assumption that whatever the player's handbook says is what we're doing. And if it's different, the DM should let you know in advance. So that's my question on that. Or my answer, I'm sorry.
I have a comment on that as well. I am the worst player because I really don't know how to play anymore. I've been DMing for so long. And also, I am the worst backseat DM. As so many times I want to speak up out of turn and say something, but I don't. And especially if I'm like on Gio's table or on Rob's table, I definitely wouldn't say anything there in a live stream out of respect for them. However, I would ask them afterwards or before what's going on. So that's a little tip.
And that's a good point. If you definitely never want to get into an argument. You know, that's not what you're there for. You're there to have fun and stuff. So if there's a question or if there needs to be a discussion, the best thing to do is announce during the game, like, oh, you know what, let's move forward. Let's just table this and we'll talk about it after the game. You know, DM will make a decision. Here's how we're going to do it for today, and then we'll talk about it after. That's the best way to handle that. Because most oftentimes there's 4 or 5, 6 other people, you know, listening to this going, yeah, let's get on with it. And they don't want to talk about it. And so the best thing to do is table the discussion and then have it afterward. That way you can decide what the answer is, and then next time you come together for the game, you can say, okay, remember that discussion we had? Here's the rule. That's what we're going to do, and then move forward. It's best to do it that way. We do have another prize to give out right now. We're going to give out Horde of the Dragon Queen, which apparently I spelled with 2 R's in the chat. I don't know what's my problem. Horde of the Dragon Queen goes to Nick Fit, N-I-C-F-I-T-T, Nick Fit. Congratulations. I will write that down and put in the next prize. Oh, the sequel to Horde of the Dragon Queen, as it were, is Rise of Tiamat. That is the next prize. Mm-hmm. Tiamat will kill you. She's mean and nasty.
Don't say that about baby Tiamat.
All right, Rise of Tiamat is going in, and timer is started.
All right. Any questions out there?
I have a question from a Brazilian player. He asked me to do it. I have a question in this backseating DM.
I saw one in the Twitch chat there.
How do we deal as players with a frustrating DM?
I have a question in this backseating DM
so
thing.
So hold on a second. We have 2 people talking. I don't know how that's possible because I thought the only voice was the FG College. but we obviously have 2 voice sources here. How is that even possible?
I don't know.
I'm
But
going to.
So
Does he want to do it first?
So you were first. So continue with your question.
I'm going to roll back. I have a question. This backseating DM thing. How do we deal as players with a frustrating DM narrative? Fantasy Grounds have awesome tools, but what do we do when the DM does not help us with this description of players and NPCs?
I would say that if you're not getting enough description, you should just ask the DM for it. And if the material that they're using is not their own material and they're using pre-written material or Wizards of the Coast material and the information is not there, just ask the DM to provide more description. Ask them, could you explain a little bit more, or could you set the scene a little bit more? Could you visualize for that us more? And it doesn't. It's always fine to ask the DM to just give you a little more information so that you can get a better picture in your head about what's going on. Yeah, that's fine. You can always just have your DM give you more information.
Yep.
Let's see. Oh, and there was another question coming from someone else.
Farad.
I think I might have just been asking the same question that they were asking in the Twitch chat there about how do they deal with as players with a frustrating DM narrative. Fantasy Grounds has awesome tools, but how do we do when the DM does not help us with the description of places or NPCs?
Yep, we got that.
Yeah.
Cool.
So,
Thank you.
Shadzar has a question in the Twitch chat. Would streaming and DMing at the same time with Fantasy Grounds work well with 2 DMs, one to run the game and one to do the fiddly bits in Fantasy Grounds? I'm going to say the answer to that is more than likely not. Could it work? Maybe. Would it work well? I doubt it. The only way that would work well maybe is if those 2 people were physically in the same room. Because you can't, on Fantasy Grounds, the DM can't then share the table with someone else who can have access to all the DMing stuff. The way it works is you open Fantasy Grounds, one person's the DM, all the players join that person's table, and then the DM has certain functionalities, all the players have different functionality. So if you're co-DMing with somebody, by the way, Shad, you should go to the wish list and put this on there. It'll never happen, but that's a great idea. Allowing 2 DMs on the same table, that would be fantastic. So I'm going to say the answer to Shad's question is no, but we should make that happen. Like, get on that. Call Doug. Get on the phone. Ask him to do it.
So I have a comment to make about Fantasy Grounds. It's kind of related to that, but not so much. But normally when you have a table, I've had people ask me this, like, oh, you ask me if I have a private game. I do. I usually do. And I don't usually have more than 5 now. I learned my lesson from my last campaign, and I don't want to have more than 5 or 6 people. However, to accommodate others, I go ahead and ask them if they wouldn't mind dropping in as an NPC for a surprise. So, like, if I'll plan to where my party is going to be in a big battle and they're going to need some extra help. So in Discord, I'll get a hold of that player that wanted to play and say, hey, you can play, you just won't be there every week, and we can check you out. And then you just drop in as an NPC and help them out with a major battle. And I give them all the background information, set up a character with them, and then I set up a date in my campaign where they could show up.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I do want to say one more thing about Shad's question, and also include a selfless, shameless plug in it. But Gwydion reminded me just now in the chat that of Drow Origin, which is a module that's available in the Smiteworks store that I wrote. It's another author made it, but I converted it. There is a video of that on YouTube, and in that video, it's 5 hours long. There are co-DMs. There were 2 guys in the room, both DMing, and that module involves a wedding where it's basically, it's not PvP, but it's all the NPCs are sort of at a wedding, and I don't want to give away the story, but you're in 2 groups working against each other, kind of. And that DM had a guy helping him, and they split people into 2 different chat rooms, and it was crazy. But if you go watch that video, that's kind of what Shad was talking about. And it was a little cumbersome, but they did work it out. But again, those 2 guys were physically in the same room and only operating off 1 copy of Fantasy Grounds. So it is time, once again, to give away a prize. Rise of Tiamat is going to go to GMC Lydek. That's the only way I know how to say that name. GMC Lydek, congrats. I think. It's giving me a thumbs down. I don't know what that means, but I don't know what the red thumbs down. Nevertheless, I'm putting his name on the thing. And the next prize that we're going to give away is Struggle in Three Horn Valley. This is a DM's Guild module, again by Phil Beckwith, PB Publishing, that I converted for him, and it takes place in Schultz, so it's very timely. And it is a Fantasy Grounds module, so I will put that in, and we can go to the next question.
All right.
So I've got a question from Big Pink Tuna here. What is the most common and uncommon character you see when DM, and what is your favorite character?
I'm going to assume that means class or race or okay,
Yeah.
class.
I'm going to say I'll go with class.
Okay. Most common fighter. My favorite to play is probably Barbarian. The reason I like Barbarian personally is click, did I hit, click, damage. I'm done. I enjoy spellcasters. The very first character I ever played was a mage in first edition. But
Let's hear it.
Oh, you want to? Oh, here comes the story. Okay, I'll tell the story. But let me answer the question. So fighter's the one I see the most. Barbarian's the one I like to play. The ones I like to DM are the spellcasters. I like it when my players are spellcasters because every single time I play, I learn something new. I'm like, oh, that's what that spell does. And I allow my players to use all these other third-party fakakta overpowered crap that's in that you can get. And every single day, I'm like, what is this spell now? Post it in the chat. And I have to read it, and I don't understand it. And it's great, and it's awesome, it's fun. But hopefully that answers the question. So the story Laroon is asking me to tell, I've told this before. I told this story on Nerdarchy, and I've told it to all my players. So how I got into D&D, I was 15 years old. This is 1981. You do the math. I was 15. I was a sophomore in high school. I met this guy. He was carrying around the Dungeon Master's Guide, and he got beat up for it. Like, I probably started playing D&D when it wasn't cool to play D&D. D&D is cool now, but it wasn't cool in the 80s. It was not. And I met this guy, and I said, hey, what's that? I didn't beat him up. So since I didn't beat him up and I was interested, he told me about it. We became friends. We're still friends. This guy, I've known him for, 35 years. And I went over to his house and went down in the basement. It's the cliche, like either pool table or ping pong table. I can't remember. It was a cupboard. We set up the whole thing. We pored over the player's handbook for hours. We made characters. We even had the at the time TSR like yellow cardstock character sheets that you could get. And we spent, I swear it was 4 hours making our characters. We were so excited. And none of us had ever played before. None of us knew how to DM, but he had this friend, this punk, this 12-year-old Kevin, or whatever his name was. And he shows up, and he's going to be the DM. So we make our characters. I make a mage, I think it was called. The magic user was a mage at the time. I believe the hit points were 1d4, and I think I rolled a 2. So I got my guy. We're all ready. We're all excited. We got snacks and sodas, and we're all just like super pumped. And we sit down to play. He sets the scene, this 12-year-old punk-ass punk, and he says, you guys are in the city or whatever, walking down the alley. First thing that happens is he writes a little note, and he slides it to me. And I'm like, what's going on? I didn't know there were notes in this game. And I open the note, and I read it, and it says, a crossbow bolt has punctured you in the chest. You are dead. Please do not say anything out loud to the other players. And I stood up, and I put my hands under this 800-pound oak table or football or whatever, pool table, whatever it was, and I was gonna flip that fucking thing up in the air, but of course I wasn't strong enough, so it just ended up being that. And I was like, fuck you and fuck this game and fuck all you and I'm fucking out of here. And I started to storm away. And had my friend not stopped me, we would not be having this discussion right now today, because I was like, this D&D sucks. And of course I came back to the table, and my friend Wayne told this Kevin punk ass thing to, don't kill a guy the first 2 seconds after we just spent all this time, and make him feel that way. And so we kind of redid the game, and then it was fine. And then now look at me, I'm here today. So that's that story.
Got another question here from Grayskin in the Discord. If I launch a game with my ultimate version Fantasy Grounds, can somebody else DM it?
I would say no.
No, the answer is no. The DM has to be the person who launches the game, and then the players connect. So that's the misconception about Fantasy Grounds, by the way. That's a good question, because it brings up, do you have to pay for Fantasy Grounds? And the answer is absolutely not. You can play on someone else's table if they have the ultimate license. Any number of demo users can join that game. They can have access to whatever the DM has, the player's handbook, all the classes and the races and everything to build. Excuse me, and you don't have to pay any money. But if you're an ultimate license holder and you launch the game, you're the DM. You can't launch the game and then have somebody connect and DM. That's not possible.
Yeah, the files are cached and stored on the host. So
Yeah.
whoever the host is the DM.
All right, let's give away Struggle in Three-Horn Valley. And Sildanis. Congrats. Sildanis is the winner of that.
All right.
We've got, sorry, I'm going to put in the next prize, which is going to be, Volo's Guide to Monsters, everybody. The next prize is going to be Volo's Guide. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to ask you, since you're on the stream here, what other stream... Whoa, what was that? What was the streams that are your favorites other than your own? So whether that be live or anything like that. Do you have any other favorites? What I'm asking.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like to play favorites, but I would say, well, I guess I'm going to answer by the ones that I've either watched or participated in.
Okay.
Digital Dave has a special place in my heart because I think he's the first person I found on Twitch that was doing D&D. FSH Smo and GeoQuester, I have played in their games, and so those also hold a special place in my heart. The Fantasy Grounds channel itself, although they are not that active this day as of now, but they might become so again in the future. But Digital Dave was kind of running that as well anyway. And those are the ones that come to mind. And but there's many. I mean, there's hundreds of these streams out there, you guys. I mean, they're just everywhere. But I think Will and Sid at Encounter Roleplay do a really good job. And that's probably the one that I like, that they're those people, they're camera people, they do
right.
Well, so Dave is as well. Dave's a camera guy too. He puts the players on camera. Thanks for the sub, Babinski. So there's that too. But yeah, and nice. It's hard. And if I'm leaving anybody out, but just off the top of my head, when you ask me, I mean, I'm not even going to Twitch and going to Google right now and looking to get my answer. I'm just doing it off the top of my head. But those are the three that come to mind that kind of led me to where I am and got me started on streaming and stuff like that. So.
All right, very good. Any other questions?
Yeah, you have a question from Farrick Keldoon. What was the hardest thing for you to learn in Fantasy Grounds, and how did you overcome it?
Oh, yeah. Sorry it took so long. I've seen that question sitting in there. That is a good question. Oh, that's medication, everybody. No, we're streaming. We can't take medication. I'd rather die. The hardest thing I had to learn in Fantasy Grounds was the coding. And this is going to end up being a plug as well. the combat tracker in Fantasy Grounds allows you to place automation codes in there that can virtually do anything. It can adjust damage, it can adjust AC, it can adjust attacks, it can heal, it can do all this stuff. And there's a wiki on the Fantasy Grounds forums that goes through coding. And when I first, I came to Fantasy Grounds about 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago, downloaded it and messed around with it, got in a couple games, and thought this is the greatest thing ever. But I didn't know what I was doing. And I went to the wiki and I read this coding wiki, which if you look at it and you've never played before and you've never seen it before, it's like gibberish. It's just a screen with jumbled letters and numbers on it. What the fuck is this? And so that was the hardest thing. Was I said to myself, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to learn this. I don't care how long it takes me. I don't care if it takes me 5 years. I'm going to learn this because this is super cool. And I learned how to make the codes. And then of course everybody, well, maybe not everybody, but most people know that I've done the coding package, and it's the number 3. If you go to DM's Guild right now, not number 3 or number 4, let me check. Yeah, so it's number 3 on the DM's Guild right now. All the codes for the.
So while he's checking that out.
Oh, sorry, my bad. Can you hear me?
Yep, now I can.
Yeah, when I click on the other computer, then my voice goes off. I always forget that. So all of the codes for the spells and the class feats and the race features and the feats themselves, they're all done. And that was the hardest thing for me to learn. But once I did it, I thought, you know what? Everyone should have this because it's awesome. And if you're a DM, if you're a player, yeah, but if you're a DM especially, it's nice to be able to tell your players, hey, just pull the code out, put it on your character sheet actions tab, and you're done. You're ready to go. So that was the hardest thing to learn, and I'm so glad I did it because that's pretty much what I'm famous for at this point, if I'm famous at all.
So we've got another question here from Mazrim. He's just asking you what your Adventure League experience is like.
Okay, I don't have very positive things to say about Adventures League. I will say this: Adventures League is a good thing. My personal experience with it kind of got off track because Adventures League, for those of you that don't know, is the organized play, and that it used to be that WotC would have store events, and you could go there, and if you were a DM, they would just send you stuff in the mail. They'd send you maps and tokens, and it was crazy. It was awesome. This is during the 4th edition days. And then they switched over to Adventures League for 5th edition, and it is a good thing. It allows players to play either online at the gaming store or even at home, and you can bounce your character around to everybody's different games. So you can keep the same character, and you keep track of it, and you move around. But what happened to me was I got really excited when I found out you could do this online when they opened it up. So I went to alonlinetools.net, and that's the Adventures League site that's on the internet. And I became part of that DM team. And I was on that DM team for about a year, and it was fun until what happened to me. And again, this is neither anyone else's experience or may not still be the case now a year later after I left. But basically what happened to me was that became the same group of 30 guys, the same group of 30 power gamers who would show up to every game, min-max everything. All they cared about was getting the magic item and getting the hell out of there. And so it really wasn't fun. Now that's just my experience, so I need to say that. I'm not disparaging AL as a whole. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying that my experience led me to putting games, and you can go on my YouTube channel and watch some of these games, from like a year and a half ago. I would go either play in the games or DM games, and then that's all it was power gamers there. They didn't even really care. All they wanted was, they were just loot junkies. That's all they were. And so since I had that bad experience, and we had meetings about this, the DM team would meet on Facebook or whatever, or Google Hangouts and everything, and we'd have like hour-long discussions, and nobody seemed to want to do anything about that. So I was like, I'm out. So I left. But that's my experience with AL. But I need to again say that I'm not telling people not to do AL because it is a fantastic thing. It just wasn't for me, and I haven't gone back.
All right.
Is it time to give away a prize? Yes, it is. Volo's Guide to Monsters. is going to go to, I'm going to try and say this and hope I'm right. Silva Catane. I hope that's right. Silva Catane, if I'm not saying it right, I apologize, but you know who you are. So you've won Fantasy Grounds Bolo's Guide to Monsters. And the next prize, just one right after the other, everybody. The next prize is Fantasy Grounds Storm King's Thunder. So that's going to be awesome. Let me punch that in.
All right.
And I have another question that was given to me. So
Okay.
let me read that. The question is from Dagger46. Rob, have you considered running one of the Lair Assault modules? Seems kind of fun. I have considered it. I initially was turned off by the Lair Assault modules because I think when they first came out, they were $10 and they're one-shots. And I think $10 is a high price for a one-shot where you're going to play for 2 hours and be done. I thought $10 was kind of tough. But they go on sale sometimes, and so I think I got both of them for $7, which is a little better. And so I did buy them, and yes, I am considering running them. When I will do that is during my free time, which is an inside joke because people don't know I don't have free time. But they will eventually make it onto my. I mean, my goal for my life is to run everything. I'm gonna run stuff until GeoQuester, who's another streamer and a guy that's in our community here. I said something to him about retiring when I'm 70, and he said, "Oh no, you're gonna do it till you drop dead." And I was like, you know what, you're probably right. So yeah, I do plan to run that and everything else eventually, but when I get to it is the question, and how my schedule opens up and all that stuff.
All right. So I have another question for you, Rob.
Yep.
So have you gone to any conventions or anything like PAX, or would you consider doing that in the future?
That's a good question. I'm kind of an anomaly that way. I had tickets. I had tickets to the event. I had plane tickets, and I had a hotel room for Gen Con 50, and then I backed out, and not solely because, but a lot of because Doug Davison himself, the president of Smiteworks, told me, do you know about convention crud? And I said, oh yeah, and he reminded me about that, and what that is going into a building with 50,000 of the unwashed, and that's a little. He didn't say that. I'm saying that. Those are my words, not his. But that's a little that's a little kind of a slam on. And it's a stereotype and a generalization that gamers aren't the cleanest people, which I have not personally run into that myself. But I've seen videos and think people make fun of people that they don't wash or they're not hygienic or whatever. But I'm a unique situation because I'm a liver transplant recipient and I take medication every single day. My alarm that just went off a minute ago, that's every 12 hours for the rest of my life. I have to take immunosuppressive medication because I've had a liver transplant, and that makes me very susceptible to catching a cold or getting the flu or doing anything. So I very much want to attend conventions, but I backed out of that one because it's a huge one and has a lot of people. I might go to a smaller one, or I might go to a big one and then just limit my exposure. But if you're gonna go, go. I can't be going and then coming to one room and then going running back to my hotel or whatever. I can't do that. So I think that it would have to be a special. There would have to be something specifically that I wanted to go real bad to see. Otherwise, you're probably not going to see me there.
All right. Mazram in the chat room asked, how do you feel about pay-to-play DMs?
Yeah, I thought this might come up. So people either love it or hate it, right? I'm gonna formulate my opinion as I give it to you. I didn't have an opinion, so I'm gonna make one right now.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you what my experience is. I have had players, both people I've met personally in the world and then people that I've talked to online, tell me both sides. Oh, that's a bad idea, and then other people say, you know what? If people are paying to play, then they're paying attention. They want to be there. They're invested in it. And it's kind of like, I was a stand-up comic for 15 years professionally. I went to casinos and played in clubs and went to bars, and I did everything from the low end to the high end. And I will tell you that the worst audiences I had were the people in the casinos who didn't have to pay. They were just in the casino and they walked into the room and sat down and got to watch your show, and they didn't have to pay. And people who don't pay for an activity that they're watching, even if you give somebody free movie tickets and they go to the movie, usually the people that have the free tickets don't enjoy it. It's the people who paid for it that enjoy it, because there's a subconscious investment in that. And so my opinion on pay to play is that it's a valid thing. I don't do it. There are 3 levels of Patreons that I have on my Patreon page, that if you pay me either $25, $50, or $100, I will run either 1 game, 2 games, or 4 games a month for you privately. You and 6 of your buddies can play with me on Fantasy Grounds. I'll DM anything you want, and we don't have to stream it. It's a private thing. We can stream it if you want. But the reason I put that on there was I thought, $25 for 6 people for 4 hours. So that's, what is that? Six and a quarter. So it's $1 a person per hour. I mean, that's nothing, right? So I haven't done it yet. No one's taken me up on my Patreon offer for that. Robert Aducci, who is the social media manager for SmiteWorks, and just recently is not anymore the WotC social manager, because he's going to concentrate on making more things. He has a Patreon and he charges people. Digital Dave charges people. So I think it's a valid thing to do. The reason I don't do it or haven't done it on my regular streams, charge people, is because I don't think I'm a good enough DM to demand that. But, again, there's 2 schools of thought. Like, what's your time worth? I mean, that is a difficult question, but I guess my answer boils down to, it is a valid thing. As to whether or how much I would personally do it, I haven't decided yet.
Okay. All right. Any other questions in chat? Rob 2E, could I front the bill for several hours just to let you get me to show me the ins and outs of Fantasy Grounds? I would gladly pay for that. Well, would you do that, Rob? Would you, in the chat there in your Twitch channel, Fanta Love says, would you front me
I
the
see
bill? Yeah.
Yeah. I have a quick answer to that. Yes. I would do that. Let me give away a prize before we forget. Fantasy Grounds Storm King's Thunder. The winner is Story Chronicler. Story Chronicler. That's fun to say. So Story Chronicler, congrats, you've won Storm King's Thunder. And yeah, so Fanta loves you. I would definitely do that. I don't know. I mean, no one's ever asked me that before, but sure, I would do that. I mean, if you want to pay me for my time and I teach you what I know, I would gladly do that. I would never expect anybody to pay me for that. I would even, that's kind of what Fantasy Grounds College is they teach you how to run the program, and they have classes and stuff. But the difficulty is people's time. So,
right.
You guys teach classes, people from all over the world in different time zones. We all have our UTC -8, so people can tell where we are and what time it is there. And, if you're doing stuff in the US and people in Europe are like, 8 hours different or 9, 10 hours different. So it's just people's time. And, I mean, we haven't even got to, talking about like what I spend all my time doing with making modules and all this other stuff. But I would gladly help anybody anytime for free if I had the time to do it. But yeah, if somebody wanted to pay me to chunk out 2 hours and help them, that would be something I would do, sure.
Yeah, and I'm also offering that through the college Patreon. So if you subscribe there at the, $10, $20 level, I would be willing to spend a few hours with you and teach you everything one-on-one. No problem.
Okay, next prize going up is Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide for Fantasy Grounds.
Awesome. So any of you Sword Coast fans, this is the time to get your free copy if you don't have it.
Fantasy Grounds Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide is in, and the 5-minute timer is going. Let's see. Do I have any other questions from the chat? I don't think so.
You had one from Varric Khaldun. How do you deal with PvP issues, not in the brawls, but in a normal game? And he says he also knows every DM deals with it different.
Yeah, so that's one of the other reasons I created the Battle Royale, was for people to get that out of their systems and to exercise the muscle of PvP. I absolutely cannot stand, and again, everything I say on this stream today, guys, I've repeated this phrase over and over. This is just my opinion. My opinion doesn't mean anything. But if you're asking me, I personally hate PvP, and I've been in some real life games where people have got up and stormed out of the room because one of the characters decided they were going to just fuck with everybody else just because they were an ass that day and they were having a bad day and they want to take it out on the, fictionally on their friends at the table. And it's even worse online because you can't, you're not in the same room with somebody. You can't just tell them, hey man, point at them and go, nah. But I am not a fan of PvP when you're in a game, especially Dungeons and Dragons, where it's a cooperative effort. You're supposed to work as a team, and the biggest way that gets started sometimes is somebody who thinks they're playing a thief, or somebody who's a rogue who wants to be a thief, and they message the DM and they say, I want to try to pick so and so's pocket. I see that in my chat and I'm like, how am I going to get this person out of my game? Like, I'm not going to blatantly just kick somebody out, but I very much as a DM try to discourage that. And I don't like it if I'm a player as well. If somebody tries to pick a fight with me as a player, I don't want to fight. I don't want to have a little battle. I want to kill you or you kill me so that one of us can leave the game, because it's just not fun. And so that is actually the reason I created Battle Royale, was so that people could come and have PvP, and that's the whole point of it. And that is fun when you're there to do that. But when you're playing for weeks and weeks and months, and you're all getting along and everything's great and you're following the story and you're going over here and you go into this dungeon and you go into that plateau and you go to the forest and underground, and then all of a sudden one of the players is like, let me just fuck with this guy for no reason. That to me is a no-go. Now some people again will say, oh, no, I like that. I like it when that happens. But me personally, I don't like it.
All right. All right. So another question is, what industry people have you met either in passing or in person? So I'm talking like Wizards of the Coast or some of the higher tiers of developers, things like that.
So me personally, I've talked with some folks online. Chris Lindsay from Wizard of the Coast, Doug Davison, obviously from Smiteworks, a couple other minor interactions with other people, Jeremy Crawford and stuff. But who have I met? I don't think anybody. I don't think I've actually personally met in person. I would have at Gen Con had I gone, but I don't think I've actually met in person anybody. The highest tier celebrity that I ever met in like Wizards of the Coast was the Spokane, Washington local coordinator. The position they used to have, a volunteer position that they used to have, I met him before I took over, and then I was local coordinator for a year, and then they shit canned the whole thing, so they told us to get lost.
Right. And so we have a streamer here. I don't know if you guys know him, but GeoQuester has made his own stuff, and I consider him in that group somewhat.
Oh yeah, so, yeah, you're absolutely right. As a matter of fact, GeoQuester he is a member of the industry. He's written, I don't know, 40 different game modules, or he'll tell you if I got the number wrong, but it's a lot. And he's met many people. He knows, he knew Dave Arnson, and I could name a huge list that he knows. But so yeah, I guess if you're doing the six degrees of Kevin Bacon, probably he is the answer to my question, because I know him. Well, I haven't met him in person either, but I mean, he and I become friends, and we talk on. I've known him for 2 years, and we've We've talked, just chat, he and me privately, and Susie, his wife, Susie Q. So if you're doing the Kevin Bacon thing, he's the person I know because he knows other people, but I've never even met him. So.
All right. Fair enough. That's cool. I'd like to meet him actually in person someday and see what he's working on.
Yeah, we did a Denver and Dragons thing, and we invited he and Susie to come to that, but they were not able to attend. There's my noise. It was going to happen sometime. Oh my God, is it prize time? It is.
I think so.
All right. Sword Coast Adventurers Guide is going to go to Redisaurus. Is that how you say that? Redisaurus?
Nice.
Oh my God, they put in the chat. Redisaurus.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congrats. I will mark that down and get to the next prize.
While you do the next prize there, Enski in the Discord says that you asked a question at the very start, and what the data is the lyrics to the song that you asked.
What's the data to the lyrics of this? Okay, so I'm just gonna say that I have no idea what that means.
Yeah, I didn't know what it meant either, and then he said it again, and so I figured it might be something you would understand, but I'm not sure.
The only thing I can think of that might be is that there is an automatic message in my chat that posts up every once in a while. If anyone can tell me what the fuck the Chipmunks are saying from Rehab's song Icarus, I will give them 10,000 XP in the chat. No one has been able to answer. Yeah, that must be it. So I've had, I'm going to say 6 or 8 people send me different sound bites, speeded up, slowed down. People have sent me in the chat, people have tried to answer that question. And I need to state that I do not know what the answer is. That's why I'm asking for the answer. But everybody that's ever sent me a sound file or guessed what I said has not only not been correct, but has been way off. So if you listen to that song and you listen to the lyrics and you listen to what the Chipmunks are saying and you try to match it up with what people say, it's just not even ever close. So that's why that must be what they're talking about. Okay, I'm going to put in the next prize, which is going to be Out of the Abyss, Fantasy Grounds module for Out of the Abyss. Let's get that going. And there it is. It's in the chat.
Cool. So if anyone else has a question, please ask. I have one lined up for you, though, Drop, in case.
Okay.
Anybody? Going once, going twice, thrice. Okay. So would you work for Wizards of the Coast if you were offered, or maybe someone like Kobold Games or one of those kinds of companies, or maybe even as an independent design or conversion consultant for virtual tabletops as a daily job?
Smartworks, hashtag Smartworks. Yeah, and by the way, congratulations to Digital Dave, who was just hired by Smartworks. So that's awesome. So congrats to him.
That's awesome.
I would do that. I think in answering that question, if someone decided that they could use my skills, I would more than likely have to do it in a capacity where I do it from home. In other words, I am not going to get in my car and go punch an office clock.
Right.
Maybe if Wizards of the Coast offered to move me to Seattle and buy me a house, I would do it. But other than that, I think that I would definitely consider doing that. I would love to do it. If they thought that they could use my skill set for anything in particular that might help them. Now, as it stands, I'm kind of a private contractor for Smiteworks. I'm one of the developers for them, but I'm not an employee. I have done conversions for other authors on the DMs Guild. I mean, I do a lot of that stuff. So I'm already kind of working in that wheelhouse, especially as it comes to Fantasy Grounds modules and things like that. So yeah, I would definitely consider that, and I haven't got, my phone's not ringing, so nobody's asked me that, but I certainly would consider it if somebody thought they could use me, sure.
Okay, cool. So kind of along the same lines, so have you ever considered doing some of the DMs Guild adept work, or would you? Oh,
that's a good question. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to do that. There's 2 things about that prevent me from doing it, though. One is that is an invite-only program, so Chris Lindsay has to find you and then bring you in by invitation. So all those Guild Adepts people are all big muckety-muck people that have either produced or that he knows. And the first group of 10 people were all people I think he personally knew, and some of the streamers from Stream of Annihilation and all that kind of stuff. Names like James Intercosto and like that. So you have to be invited to that. You can't just submit for it, or there's no resume process, or you can't send him a module and go, hey, take a look at this. He has to find you. So the second thing that prevents me from doing that is, in all of my 2+ years of experience with 5th edition and Fantasy Grounds and everything I'm doing, I've only written one story, and that's Unknown Whom. Everything else I've done has either been collaborations with other authors, or it's been mechanics and tool stuff like the coding package. So I don't have a vast amount of story and lore and things like that to offer. Now I could do it if somebody made an assignment to me and said, okay, you got to produce this. It's got, the next module coming out is this. We need you to write a side campaign. Go. I could do that. I just haven't done it. So I haven't proven myself in that arena. Okay. So I think what they do on the DMs Guild is they look for the highest dollar. They go and they say, who's selling stuff? Let's call these people. So if they look at me, they're going to see, okay, this guy sold a bunch of stuff, but let's look and see what it is. And again, out of the 46 items on DM's Guild that are currently have my name on it, only half of those are solely me, and only one of those is an adventure. So I don't think Guild of Depths is going to call me anytime soon.
All right, just curious how that worked.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions in the chat or the Twitch?
Boffrin would like to know if that is a Velvet Enterprise behind you.
That behind me is, let me see if I can angle it. That behind me is, in fact, a motherfucking Velvet Enterprise. That's exactly what
baby.
that is.
Excellent.
I got that at a science fiction convention in
Nice.
1991, maybe. And I've moved around and carried that around with me. There's a couple of the WotC books, too, over my head there. Only on the shelf for today's stream in my Santa hat, all for the appearance of what's happening. But yeah, that's exactly what that is. I mean, I'm hardcore. I'm going to take my finger off push to talk for a second and show you something. So that's my Enterprise, or my Star Trek tattoo. I don't fuck around, everybody. I'm a Star Trek fan. But
nice.
The other shoulder may at one point be the D&D ampersand. If that happens, I mean, I'll be like 58 years old. I don't know, but I was thinking about maybe the Star Trek one was for the 50th anniversary. I was 50, Star Trek was 50, get a tattoo. And 50th anniversary of D&D is in 2024. So maybe another tattoo then. I don't know. We'll find out.
Darn it.
We might be playing 6th edition by then.
Uh-huh. Any other questions? Do we have to give a prize out yet?
Yes, we do. We have to give a prize out. Ooh, only 5 people entered to win this prize, so there's a good chance for those people.
Wow.
All right, here we go. The winner of Out of the Abyss. Oh, wait. Wrong button. Is Jalila 1. Jalila 1 has won Out of the Abyss. Congrats.
Nice.
I will mark that name down. And the next prize going in, we're getting to the big stuff, everybody. We've got 4 more. This one is Xanathar's Guide to Everything. Xanathar's Guide to Everything Fantasy Grounds module is going in. And I will start that. And before I forget, I would like to tell the story about my liver transplant, because it does relate to Fantasy Grounds directly. Okay. Some of you guys know this story, and I wrote a blog post about it on the Fantasy Grounds forums. But the title of the blog post was Fantasy Grounds Saved My Life. And so people are like, what? What do you mean Fantasy Grounds saved your life? But in 2008, I was diagnosed with a bad liver. Now, I was never a drinker. I'm not an alcoholic. I just got dealt bad cards. I have bad genetics. Look at me. But I had liver disease in 2008. And as a comedian, I was living in Los Angeles. And, I went to the doctor and they said, oh, yeah, it's time. You got to get a new liver. And I was like, what are you talking about? And it was crazy. It was a crazy time. So I ended up having to move back to Spokane, Washington, my hometown, because I was neither married nor at the time had a girlfriend. So they will not transplant you in the state of California or probably anywhere unless you have a support system. So my mom lived here in Spokane, and I basically had to move back home with my family. And for a period of 6 years, I just laid on a bed, this bed right over here in my living room with me. Because I basically would get up to go to the dentist or the doctor or to the grocery store sometimes. And I basically, literally for 6 years, just couldn't do anything. And I was very, very sick. And I was on the transplant list, but the way the transplant list for organ donors works is it's kind of like the emergency room. You're assigned a number and you're on the list, and it's based how sick you are. And so I was pretty sick, but I wasn't sick enough to be at the top of the list. And then it's kind of like the emergency room. If you have a broken leg, you're next. But if the gunshot wound guy comes in, he's next, right? So you move. That's how that works. And so I was sick, and I was sick, and I was sick, but I wasn't sick enough. And then after 6 years, from 2008 to 2014, I went to Seattle to University of Washington Medical Center for a routine checkup. And I broke. My kidney shut down. My fever went to 106, and I basically almost died. And they're like, "Oh, it's go time." And they go, they admitted me to the hospital, and there were 2 false starts for me getting a liver. It took 10 days to get a liver. And at one point, they would, doctors kept coming into my room every day and saying, "Okay, you're number 1 on the regional list. Okay, you're number 1 in the state. Okay, now you're number 1 on the country. The next liver anybody has goes to you." And they thought I was just going to die. And so they did a liver transplant on me, and it took 11 hours. The surgeon that did it, Dr. Rockstar, I call him, he said that out of his 520 transplants, that one was the hardest one he'd ever done. He said there were no mistakes and it went smoothly, but it took the longest and it was the hardest to do because I was so messed up. And so I woke up from that liver transplant, found out my mother died while I was on the table. That's right, not to bring everybody down. Nobody cry. Don't get a tear. It is sad. It was the most fucked up and best day of my life at the same time. But while I was in surgery, my mother passed away. And I'm going to cry now. So I woke up and, yep, I'm going to cry. Here it is. It's happening. It's happening on the stream, everybody. I didn't know what I was going to do. So I found this. And now look at me. So it's a tough thing. But this is the greatest community there is.
Yeah, I think so too, Rob. Merry Christmas, bud.
Merry Christmas.
So yeah, so that's the story here with a lot of us. A lot of us have issues. I don't want to tell my founder story, but it's very parallel to what Rob's going through. We all are here for different reasons, and I don't know if you guys know this, but half the population here is over the age of 40. So we've become like the bald, fat, aging crew, and we end up actually sharing a lot of good stories. And so we talk about men's health, and we talk about dealing
Cheer
with
bits.
diabetes
Cheer bits in
and
the
all
stream.
kinds of
Thanks for the
stuff.
cheer
So
bits.
if you're in that group, you're
Blazing
certainly
Eyes,
welcome
thanks
here,
for the
and
cheers.
I welcome the younger people too, because there's a lot of wisdom and knowledge here that we all share together, and that's why I want this community. It isn't just to make money on Patreon or to pimp everyone out. That's part of it, but the main part of it is sharing knowledge, playing together, and having fun, and getting to know each other as a group. And we are basically consumers, so as consumers, we have more power than the companies. So if we make this thing a better, a bigger community, and we keep together and we help each other and we don't backstab each other, things like that, then I think this will become a very powerful and very usable platform for everybody. So,
Yeah,
anyways,
I fully agree with that. And like I was saying, this is the greatest community. I mean, the number of people I've met, the number of people I've talked to, number of people that have played in games with me or I've played in their games, and even people in the Twitch chat that I never, I maybe only interact with once, but they ask a question or they say, "Hey, love what you're doing." I mean, I have people come in the chat, cheer bits, or drop $1 or do whatever, and say, "Love what you're doing," and then I never see them again. They just like that it's happening, and to be a part of it and to help other people be a part of it is, I mean, it is a Merry Christmas. It is the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, I agree. So we're always looking for teachers, students, content creators, writers, all that stuff, because that all contributes to this. This is not just about Fantasy Grounds. Fantasy Grounds is the main thing, but all those other things go into Fantasy Grounds. So if you're a content creator or a module writer or anything like that, I would like you to come in here and meet with like-minded people and hook up with Rob and Geo and everybody else, and you can show your work. You can actually get your work out there. And I would be very happy to showcase your work here, put links on here, things like that. So just keep that in mind. And I'd like to know what the next prize is, Rob.
All right, the next prize that we're going to give away is going to be the Xanathar's Guide to Everything Fantasy Grounds module, and here it is. The winner is XR Kuhn, EXXARKHUN. I hope I'm saying that right. XR Kuhn. Oh, I know what the yeah, that person is currently offline. That can't be right. All right, well.
That's strange.
Let's mark it down. Whoops, I got to the wrong page. XR Kuhn.
Okay.
And the next prize is sponsored specifically by FGC, Fantasy Grounds College. This prize is the Rob Twohy Effects Coding Package. That's the thing that's on the 3rd position on the DM's Guild right now. Oh, I burped. Sorry, everybody, I burped. And so I will put that in.
And so I don't know if you guys know this, but I've been begging Rob to put together something like that for a couple, not really begging, but talking to him about it. And I said, you got to put that together as a package. You got to put that together, because he had it for sale as individual pieces and part of his, 2016 package, things like that. So I basically asked him to do that, and he's done that. I wanted to call it the Fantasy Grounds College package, but that was a little bit too direct, too obvious. So it's the Rob Twohy Coding Effects package. So that's what you guys are bidding on right now. So type exclamation mark with no space win and hit enter, and hopefully you win.
Yep. And yeah, Leroon did ask me. I had those individually on the DM's Guild, and he said, "Why don't you put that in a package?" And I'm like, "Eh." And then he bugged me, and then I did it. And it's actually the 3rd best-selling thing on the DM's Guild right now. And as of today, it will hit silver. It will have sold over 100 copies. So I appreciate everybody who's purchased that, and I'm glad that it's out there because, currently as we speak, Zacchaeus from the Fantasy Grounds forums is making videos to show about the coding, which is an awesome thing because everybody should learn. Everybody who's on Fantasy Grounds. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Oh, I was talking and you guys couldn't hear me, could you?
Nope.
Damn it. Okay, so I was saying that Zacchaeus from the Fantasy Grounds forums is making, he's making videos right now about the coding, and it's a fantastic thing because everybody who is in Fantasy Grounds as a user, and especially all the DMs, should know how those codes work. Now, I've done them all for you so that if you're lazy and you just want to drag them in and use them, you can do that. Bam, it's done. But everyone should learn how to make those codes and understand how they work because it is a fantastic tool. When you're playing and you cast a spell and that spell alters an attack or an armor class or something, and instead of having to mucky around and do stuff with the dice, you just throw that code in the combat tracker and it is done. It's ready to go. And him showing people how to do that and how to manipulate those and make those is fantastic. And, so I've made him for the person who doesn't want to learn it or doesn't want to do it. But I think every DM who uses this software should know how to do that and why you're doing it inside and out.
Right. Rob, I got a request from the chat. They're asking if we can take the grand prize and just let everyone enter for that, even if they've already won. I don't have a problem with it. I don't know.
I don't have a problem with that. The grand prize we can tell everybody to everybody can enter, so we'll do that. And the grand prize, yeah, that's a good idea. That's a great idea.
So the only one that's exempt for that is myself and Rob. Everyone else can enter that.
Yeah, I don't need it. I have it.
I have it, and if any of you already have it, please don't enter that. If you already have everything.
Yeah, and what this is going to be is on December 25th, I'm posting 2 things to the DM's Guild. One of those things is going to be my 2017 package. So basically everything that I put on the DMs Guild in this year as a package, but that does not include the coding package. That is a separate thing. So the grand prize that I'm giving away today is everything on the DMs Guild. So it's going to be the 2016, the 2017, and the coding package. All of those things worth over $100 is going to be what the grand prize is. Now, since I've told about that, also on basically what you're getting is you're getting the Christmas sale item that I'm doing for 24 hours on December 25th only. You're getting that early. So
Ooh.
that grand prize that I'm giving away today will be for sale on the DMs Guild, but it's only going to be up for 24 hours. So literally at midnight on Christmas Eve, I'm going to post it, and then midnight Christmas night after Christmas finishes, I'm taking it down.
Ooh.
Thanks for the follows, guys. And what that's going to be is everything I have on the DMs Guild, it will be on sale for half off. So if you want to get my stuff, maybe you already have a couple of my things, but you want to get everything, if you wait till Christmas and you buy it that day, you'll be able to get every single thing I have for 50% off. And that's going to be 24 hours only. It's going to go up and it's going to come down. So
Nice.
whoever enters the thing for the last grand prize, that's what they'll be getting.
That's really cool, Rob.
Yeah.
That's a big investment into the community right there. That's really stand up. Also, if you guys are a Patreon or a member of the college and you haven't filled out the
Ooh.
general college Google questionnaire survey thing, it's in the resources posted there. And if your email address is attached to that questionnaire, I will be doing a drawing at the end of the year, and you'll get another chance to win Rob Twohy's effects coding package. And then if you're a Patreon, you'll go into a separate drawing for another copy of Xanathar's guide. So just a kind of heads up.
Very nice. All right. It's time to give away the coding package.
All right.
And then we have 2 more prizes after that, and then we'll be done. The coding package goes to Alexandre. Again,
Nice.
saying these names, I totally apologize. Alykssandrei. Alexandre. I hope that's right. So congrats to you. I will mark that down.
That is a really good student and someone who wants to DM, so that would be a really good prize for that person.
Awesome. So the next prize, Alex is easier to say, that they say. Alexander. I just need to make sure I spell it right. Okay, the penultimate prize, not the last prize, but one of the best prizes, is Fantasy Grounds Standard License. So I would ask that anybody who enters this is obviously somebody who does not already have this or doesn't have an Ultimate license. We want people to enter this that don't have the license so they can have a license. So I am going to post that up, and I would ask that only people that don't have the license would enter this one.
All right.
And I'm positive I spelled license wrong, but nevertheless, it is live for 5 minutes. So again, only people that don't have the license should enter this, so that if you win, you can get the license. And if you already have a license, you don't really need it anyway. So,
any other questions? I have one for you, Rob.
Sure.
This is more. I already know the answer to this, but I want you guys to know. And the question is when you publish your stuff on the DMs Guild, you only get what, half or a quarter? Can you explain how that works? Is that true?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. Yes. So when you publish something on the DMs Guild, WotC takes half and you get half. Now, if that thing is a Fantasy Grounds thing, Smiteworks gets a cut of that, but the Smiteworks cut comes out of WotC's half, so I still get half. But yeah, so if you're buying something on the DMs Guild and you're paying $10 for it, I'm only seeing 5 of that. Now, that's a good thing that doesn't sound very good. Like, well, you're only getting 50%. But the good thing about it is that Wizards of the Coast is allowing you to use any of their intellectual property, anything at all, except art. And they make some of the art available, but you can use any of the spells, any of the races, classes, mix and match, create your own stuff. You can do anything you want. You're not even limited to the SRD. If you do things on Drive-Thru RPG, you're limited to the SRD, and Drive-Thru RPG gives you 70%. But the greatest thing about the DMs Guild is they're allowing you to use everything in the IP except the art. They give you 50%, and they sell it for you. I mean, they market it for you. DMs Guild is a great place because people know, and they go there, and they know what they're looking for. Oh, good, great, there it is. The difference between DMs Guild and Drive-Thru RPG, besides the percentage that you get, is that if you put an item on DMs Guild, you're throwing a pebble into the pond. If you put an item on Drive-Thru RPG, you're throwing a pebble into the ocean. You will never be seen there. So just to give you an example, a typical day for me on the DMs Guild is I might sell 10 items. 10 different items, depending. I mean, there's 46 things on there, so I might sell 10
hear
things.
You again, Rob.
Yeah.
Crap. Yeah, I sorry about that. Thank you for saying that. A typical day on the DMs Guild is I might sell 10 items. A typical day on Drive-Thru RPG is 0. If I sell 10 items a month on on Drive-Thru RPG, it's a miracle. I also only have like 8 things on there, but the reason I don't have that many things on Drive-Thru RPG is because you don't get as high profile there. You're limited to the OGL, the SRD. You can't use all the stuff, and it's just a tougher sell there. And anything that you put on the DMs Guild, you can't put anywhere else. So I can't double up. I can't put it on both. You know what I mean? Like if you sell something on the Dungeon Masters Guild, part of their terms of service is that you sell that nowhere else, including your own website. Nothing. You can only sell it there.
Right.
Yeah. So that's.
I was gonna say, I heard that you can only do 5th edition and Forgotten Realms and no other settings. Is that true?
Correct. DMs Guild doesn't want you to create things for any other setting or any other edition. I think I'm not positive about this, but I think the reasoning behind that is they want to sell their own stuff. Like on the DMs Guild, you can buy all the PDFs for anything 4th edition and before, all the old books, all the old modules, everything. And they are just not interested in anything that isn't 5th edition or Forgotten Realms. You can do it, it's just frowned upon. Like you can make your own, you can call something your own setting, that's perfectly fine. But if what they're looking for is 5th edition and Forgotten Realms. And one of the reasons that they're looking for that is they're trying to find people to, bring into the Guild Adept program and possibly work with. So it's only a good thing. If you want to put stuff on the Guild, you should definitely do it. Now, some of my stuff is, well, no, I guess technically it's all 5th edition because if it's for like the codes, that's not any edition, but that's for Fantasy Grounds for 5th edition. So those codes don't work for Savage Worlds or Cthulhu or anything else. So.
Right. Quick thing, a statement here. I want to explain how the prizes are going to be given out. We have one more left to go?
In 5 seconds, we're going to give out the license, and then we're going to give out my thing next.
Go ahead and do
and,
that.
Yeah, so we'll give it out, and then you can explain it, because I think I know what you're going to talk about, the keys, right?
Yep.
Okay, so here we go. Fantasy Grounds standard license winner is Blacksbrand. Nice.
Yes, very good.
All right, let me put down his name in the thing, and then we'll put in the big one.
And I know he's a new student of mine also, I believe. So
yeah, I believe he specifically came into my channel, and I said, go talk to Leroon, I think.
Yeah, that's him.
That's been a few people. All right, awesome. All right, guys, so I'm going to put in the entire Rob Twohy collection. And again, everyone can enter this one when I start it. So even if you won a prize already, you can still enter this one.
Yep.
And then, Leroon, if you want to explain what you were going to explain, go ahead.
Okay, so the prizes are going to work like this. Once we have your name from Twitch, we're going to send you a private message, or we can even do it through Discord if we know who you are. And basically, it's going to be a key to be used on Steam. However, if you don't use Steam for any reason or another, we'll have to work with you and get with Doug Davison and convert that to a account that you have registered with Fantasy Grounds already. Another thing is anything from the DMs Guild, Rob's going to get your email address, and then you are going to get an email from Rob, and you'll be able to claim your prize there. But you have to you should set up an account on the DMs Guild and also the Fantasy Grounds official forums. That way, you're already connected, and when you claim CD keys on Steam, you have to learn how to connect your Steam account to your Fantasy Grounds account. So before you do all that, I would do a little research. So if you're not familiar with the process, in Fantasy Grounds, there's some settings where you have to link your Steam account to it. If you don't do that, it makes it a lot more difficult to claim the prize. So I want you to research that before you start trying to claim those keys, because it's going to frustrate the hell out of you. So make sure you do a little research. You can go on the forums, you can ask other users that are already doing it, or you can go online and probably figure it out. But just to let you guys know that any of the Steam CD keys, you have to claim them on Steam, and if you can't for some reason, we'll work with you and get it
Cheerbits in the
converted to
stream. Thanks
your
for the cheerbits.
regular account. And
Thanks,
so
McClancy. Thanks
without
for the
any
cheer bits,
further
buddy.
ado, I think, like I said, Rob will send you your stuff from the DMs Guild, provided we have an email or a contact for you.
Yeah, each of the I've jotted down in an Excel spreadsheet each person that won their Twitch name. So at worst, I will email you, or I will message you in Twitch. But if you are one of the prize winners, you can make my life easier by PMing me in Discord or on Twitch and letting me know what your email is, what your Fantasy Grounds forum name is. Any information that you think you can give me, so that I don't have to track you down, would make my life easier. But any of those that I don't hear from, I'll get a hold of you within the next day or so and let you know how to get your prize. So far we have 29 entrants. Two and a half more minutes to get in on the DM's Guild coding package.
We have
real
another
quick
question here from Edward in the Discord.
Okay.
He wants to know if Rob gets things like RPG crate, or would you consider adding items to things like RPG crates?
I have an RPG crate sitting here right now. I am not subscribed to that service, but our friend and one of my moderators, Gwydion, gave me one time as a gift, and then again when we had Denver and Dragons, he got one for everyone that attended that event in November. So I actually got two of them. Yeah, that's cool. And I love the idea. I would definitely consider putting something in there. I have no idea how to do that, who to talk to, what it would be, any of that. But would I consider it? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So real quick, everyone, just want to let you guys know that next week is going to be kind of strange in the college because we have people going on vacation, whatnot. I'm going to try to teach a class. I have a DMs class Friday, which is part 3 of 3 of 3. And I've asked the staff to try to teach a class next week before the holiday. And also in January, we're going to try to do a big map seminar. And in February, we're going to do a gaming couples thing. So if you are a couple or are married or dating and you guys play Dungeons and Dragons together or something like that, I'll invite you to that. And we'll have details on that later. So go ahead, Rob.
All right. Is it time? No, we still got a minute left. Before I forget, I would just like to thank, well, first of all, I'd like to thank you, Leroon, for setting this up and having this today. I would like to thank all the people in attendance that are watching, and I would especially like to thank my moderators that helped with the questions today, those being Lazy Sooner, Urash, and Gwydion, who were helping me with the questions on this side. And all of you who are new to the stream or you've never seen this before, this is not normally what we do. We're not having my face giant on the screen asking me questions. That's not what this is about. That's just today. Normally we play games here, exclusively 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons using the Fantasy Grounds virtual tabletop. So if you're watching today and you haven't, hit that follow button. And if you'd like to be involved, get on our Discord and come come on over and we'll get you hooked up with the game. And also, everyone cannot and should not forget to get hooked into the Fantasy Grounds College with Leyrun. If somebody wants to, here, I'll put it in the chat. Oh,
Yep.
There it is. Okay, yep, there's their website. If you click on their website, you'll be able to click on their Discord server. They are approaching 1,000 members, and this is all volunteers. This is all people who are just over there to help each other, have classes, have seminars, learn tips and tricks. There's even a looking for game thing. If you want to meet people who play 5th edition, who play any of the other rule sets, Savage Worlds, Cthulhu, all the other Pathfinder, anything that's used, Fantasy Grounds uses, they're there to help you. And he's not going to say it, so I'm going to say it. It's the greatest. I mean, it will help you. You'll meet other people, and you'll be able to get involved and get on this platform and play these games. Whether it's a streaming thing or not, whether you're just doing it with your friends online and nobody even knows about it, that's perfectly fine. And that's what they're all about over there. So I'd like to thank everybody for coming today and being a part of this. It was a really big deal for me, and I'm super pumped that we did it. And I hope everybody learned something. I hope everybody had fun. And I mean, I know we gave away a ton of prizes today, so that's good. Speaking of which, here we go.
All right.
Here it is, 35 entries in the big contest. And the winner is, he made out, Redosaurus made out double today. Redosaurus, congrats. You will be getting the Christmas Day full package.
Wow.
You'll be getting that early. I will get you that today.
Wow.
So congratulations. Yeah, he also won. Let me see. What did he win?
He won something else.
He won the Sword Coast Adventures guide as well.
Perfect. That's really cool, dude.
All right.
And so,
yep, we've given away all the prizes. I'd like to thank anybody. If there's any closing questions, we'll take those. I also would like to mention, if you asked a question and got missed, or if you think of a question later and you want to ask,
Cheerbits in the stream. Thanks for the cheerbits.
Stooner, thanks for the 1,000 bits. If you want to ask me or
Nice.
Leyrun a question after the fact, you can come to the Discords and do that. Also, I will post this video on YouTube for those that might have missed a portion of it. But if there are any closing questions, we'll do them.
Cheerbits in the stream. Thanks for the cheerbits.
So, any questions, anybody?
Leyrun, thanks for the
any
cheerbits.
comments?
I had a great time. I just want to say thank you very much for everything that I learned and got to listen to about here today.
Yeah, and thanks for moderating the questions for us. That was great.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. And even we had people in the chat doing that as well. We had people behind the scenes doing it that didn't really want to talk. So I congratulate and both thank you all. And I appreciate the staff that we have. They're very helpful, very knowledgeable. And with people like that, I'm hoping to grow this college to where we have more people like that. I mean, that is just like we have we have Victor. He's in the EU. He's working on our website. We have Flo. He's over there in Europe as well. He's doing the maps and helping me with that. He also directs a lot of traffic. Bubba Dragon teaches intro to D&D. I'd love to take his class again. I love his voice. Also, there's just a lot of good things happening at the college. Our retention is really good, so it probably is phenomenal compared to other servers. And I don't really think that anyone's doing this. And as a matter of fact, someday I will tell you the story of how I was approached early on, as a matter of fact. So I've been approached by others to do something similar, and I haven't done that. So I'm dedicated to this community.
I think I know what you mean. Yeah, it is great, and I can't reiterate enough the effort that you put forth to create this community of volunteers and experts and teachers and professors and everybody else, and even just people that come and want to learn and play, because it is when I told that little story about Spanish Ground saving my life, that's a literal statement. I had no idea what I was going to do with my life, and I accidentally tripped onto Fantasy Grounds, and now I'm streaming 6 days a week, and I'm creating modules for the DMs Guild. I'm putting items in the Smiteworks store. I'm developing things for them. I'm doing all this thing, and I wake up every day, and my whole life is just this. And I'm not getting rich, but I'm having a shit ton of fun. And I really appreciate all the people that come to us to learn, all the people that come to us to play, and all the people that come to us to watch. It means so much to me, and I know it does to Leroon and all the people, the entire staff over there. Even though they're volunteers, not making any money, everybody does a great job over there. So.
Oh yeah, and also I want to point out that we have other folks, even though they're not pointed out as much, but we have GeoQuester and Lazy Stooner and all those guys have their own streams as well.
Cheerbits in the stream. Thanks for the cheerbits.
If you guys are inclined to watch different streams at different times, that'd be a way to do it.
Yep.
So check out GeoQuester Gaming and Lazy Stooner and all the guys that are moderating in here.
Yeah, Gwydion streams as well. And of the moderators, thanks for the subs and bits, you guys. You guys are awesome. People are subbing. People are Jim Carrey's going off in this chat. It's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. I was really surprised by the turnout. I was hoping to be a little bigger, but actually just having this crew here and on my Discord, I'm cool with that too.
Yeah, I think we had as many as 65 people in the chat.
Wow.
That doesn't account for how many people are watching either on their television or iPad or iPhone or something that don't show up on that number. But I'm a small stream here, and but that is by far, I think.
Looks like we have a question actually. Alex wants to ask a question. She said, "Are you still taking questions?"
Yeah, is that the question? Yeah, we are.
Yes.
We give away all the prizes, which means everybody's going to leave now, but we're by no means done. We've been going 2 hours, and we'll probably shut it down. But I'll take any more questions. And just to mention, though, I think our audience today is bigger than last year when Twitch featured me on the front page. We had about 60 people in there,
Wow.
yeah. So I think our audience today is even bigger than that. So
that's great.
Was that her question? Was that really the question?
I'm not sure.
No.
Come on, tell us, ask us. Go ahead.
I was just wondering if we have a character ready and there's slots available at the last minute, if we could join Battle Royale.
Yeah, so for those that are interested in Battle Royale, absolutely. As a matter of fact, I will post in the Twitch chat right now the link to how to do that.
Yep. And if you've already taken lessons in the college, good on you, because we would prefer that people that have taken the classes or have already been playing in Fantasy Grounds for a long time. It's not to say we're going to turn you away, but I think we're going to give priority to people that have a little bit more experience, and that's kind of how that worked too.
Yeah, and for those of you that are new, for those of you that are maybe watching right now for the first time, like what the hell's going on? If you're interested in playing using Fantasy Grounds with me, 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, or any of the other rule sets, you can meet people and find games to do that at the college. My personal thing, I do a game called 5e Pickup Games where everyone is invited to come play, even if you've never played before. And we do that a couple, 3 times a week. Normally it's on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Saturdays. You can see the schedule, which is on the Twitch page, or you can come to the Discord and see the schedule. We also do periodically these battle royales where we invite people to come and kick each other's ass. It's fun. But all you need to do is ask to be in these games. Now, I also run campaigns that are closed that I pick the players for. And that's just, basically all the players in my games are people that I've known for like many months or even over a year that I've played with many times, and then I pick them aside to do the campaigns. There's also the Patreon thing where if you want me to run a private campaign for you and your friends, I can do that too. But we do encourage people to come and play, even if you have never played. I mean, the worst that's going to happen is you'll ask, can I get in a game? And either, something will prevent that, but we'll put you on a list, or, we totally want to get you involved. So if you've never played and you want to play, all you have to do is ask, and we'll figure something out. Because that's what this whole community is.
All right, Alex, follow-up question. What is it?
I was just wondering if between now and Monday night's Battle Royale, if somebody with the player's handbook might be willing to open up a server for me so I can build the character.
I can definitely help you with that. No problem at all.
I can do
Yeah.
it too.
Thanks.
So.
And normally what we do is with if you sign up for the Battle Royale games, whoever is DMing it would typically open their table. It just so happens that the one on Monday is being run by McClancy 10006. So I've run all the previous ones, but he's doing the one on Monday, tomorrow, I guess. Typically, they would make their table open available too, but you can, under certain circumstances, as long as it's done correctly, you can absolutely make a file on someone else's and then just send the XML into the DM. But if you go to that link I posted and read the rules and then get us a message that you want to play, we'll get you hooked up and we'll tell you the proper place to go and what to do.
Okay, I'm not 100% sure I can make it, which is why I haven't signed up yet.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, and it even says there if you know for sure that you can make it, you can sign up. But if you think you might not make it, we don't want you to sign up, because the worst thing that happens is you sign up and then don't show up, and we have to ban you for 3 games. That's in the rules because I'm a hard ass.
So any other questions?
We have a lot of fun doing that, though. People love it.
Yeah. So you guys are pretty awesome. The questions were great. There are other streams you can get on.
There is one more quick question from Boffrin, and he just says, will you go off camera, please, and take your meds?
Oh, yeah, he's right.
No, I can. So just for everybody that knows, I can, if I miss that by an hour or even 2 hours, it's fine. It just has to be in my system. So my alarm goes off every 10 o'clock, 10 a.m. and 10 p.m., and I take the medication. But if I'm off by an hour or 2, it's not a big deal. I'm not going to die, don't worry.
Cool. So hopefully,
I might get emotional.
Any Christmas plans, Rob? What are you gonna do Christmas Day other than moderate your package there that you're gonna sell?
Yeah, I'm gonna sit here and push the button at midnight. Christmas Day. Well, Christmas Eve, I know I'll probably be. Digital Dave is doing his Christmas extravaganza on the 24th, and he's actually gonna give away 5 couplings. The 2016 and the 2017 Rob Twohy DMs Guild stuff. I gave him 5 pairs of that to give away to people. Now that's not including the coding, but it does include everything else. So that both those things together, he's going to give away 5 sets of that. So I'll probably be watching that. Christmas Day. Well, I'm going to my sister's for Christmas. That's the family thing. But the Christmas Day, I don't know. Watch football. I don't know. I'm single. I'm single, ladies, and I cry. So you know how that is. Yeah. But
he's a lover, not a fighter.
I'm a lover, not a fighter. That's right, except for PvP, except for Battle Royale. But so ladies, PM me. Anyway, yeah, Christmas Day, I'm probably gonna sit here in my house by myself. I don't know. I'll have the Santa hat on, woohoo, like that.
Okay, I'm gonna watch that 24th thing, the DM.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know, Digital Dave, he's the digital DM on Twitch. And you guys have probably all seen him. If you haven't, I don't know how not. He's going to be having his Christmas extravaganza on the 24th, so he'll be giving away some of my stuff on that.
Cool. I don't know if you guys know this, but Rob actually has Fantasy Grounds tutorials up on YouTube. If you dig back into his archives, they go back a ways. He actually taught how to use Fantasy Grounds Fantasy Grounds itself way back in his early days. So, wow. You guys should check that out, because I went back and I found those. I was like, what?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know he did that already.
All of the stuff that I've done, basically, is born out of the statement, I don't know how to do this. I'm going to figure it out. And then once I figured it out, I thought, you know what? I bet everybody else would like to know this, too. So stuff like how to set up your screen as a player, how to set up your screen as a DM. The only reason is everything I do, streaming and everything, is all off a 17-inch laptop, which is literally in my lap. That's why it shakes like that, is because I'm sitting in a chair with the laptop on my lap, and I do the whole operation off of one laptop computer. I have the chat to my left on a different one, but a lot of people have 14 monitors in their house and giant big screen TVs and everything Fantasy Grounds goes across 14 screens. But that's a big frustration when players first start with Fantasy Grounds. They've never used it before. a map gets shoved in their face and it covers up the combat tracker and the chat window and there's dice everywhere and oh my god, I have to open, so you freak out. So I have a couple tutorials on YouTube on how to make your life easier as a player and as a DM that people have really enjoyed and said to me, oh, thank God you did that.
So on Discord and on the streams themselves, please enlighten us about the faux pas or the things that you do not like or that you discourage. And I know what they are, but I would like you to tell everyone.
Well,
and
maybe
I think this holds true with even the other streamers too.
So maybe remind me if I miss anything, but one thing that are you talking about what people shouldn't do in the chat? Is that what you mean?
No, I mean on the stream itself, like like the push to talk and all that stuff.
Oh my god. Oh, I almost had a heart
Please
attack.
bring that up because we have to go.
All right. So here's the thing about if you're in Discord and if you're in a game with somebody, please use push to talk. It is so disrespectful and inconsiderate to not use push to talk. I'll quote Digital Dave. Nobody wants to hear you breathing. Nobody wants to hear your family in the background. Nobody wants to hear your goddamn dog barking. I'm no longer quoting him, by the way. Now it's me. But yeah, if you're on a headset like we are, nobody wants to hear your background noise. Nobody wants to hear your wife yelling at you. Please just use push to talk. Also, eating and breathing and whatever noises you're making, it all gets picked up on the headset if you don't use push to talk. So that is probably the biggest thing that you can do to make other people like you when you're playing in games with them is to speak when it's time to speak, and we shouldn't hear any other noise of any kind. That's a big deal. There are many more things that you can do to improve the experience for your fellow players, but that's the biggest one.
Yeah, chewing, smacking on food, that's not so good.
No.
Even if you're just at a private table, maybe, but if you're doing it on a stream live in front of thousands of people, please remember that. Even though we can't see your face, we can hear you.
Right.
And what's the other pet peeve? There's one other, I think.
What
gets you kicked out or whatever? That's one of them, but what's the other one?
Well, there's so many I can't possibly know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Help me
poaching.
out.
Poaching.
Oh, well.
We need to bring this up.
Yeah, people have to have common sense. I mean, it's amazing to me that people even exist that are like this. But if you come into my stream and you're in the Twitch chat while we're playing a game, or if you come into my Discord and you post a link, hey, come to my website. First of all, ask me and I'll let you do it. As long as you ask me and speak with me about it, fine. But if you come spamming links and doing all this kind of stuff, or the worst is coming in the stream and putting, and this actually happened. A person did this, more than one person, but a person did this. Stop watching this and come to this stream over here. I mean, how low class of a human being are you to do that? I mean, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's happened before, and so you just have to use common sense. I mean, to me, if you're not evil, then you're not going to do that. If you're evil, you're going to do that. So I don't know what else I can say about that, but
right.
My mods are pretty good. I mean, we've had people come in and spam and whatever. Mods they'll just exit them right away, so that's fine. But if you're in a game, especially, don't show up to play a game if you're an idiot. And I'm not talking about somebody. And I'm just, when I say idiot, I mean evil person who's just there to troll and make people feel bad. That's not what this is about. Everybody should be having fun. Everybody should be having a great time. And if that's not happening, something's wrong.
Right. And we get the same thing in a college occasionally. We'll get a new person or somebody that wants to advertise their stuff. And I don't have a problem with that. We actually have a space. And it's mostly education. It's not so much that I don't think they're trying to be rude. But when people come into the Discord, the things that I get that's really interesting to me is, first of all, I've had people come in and say, I've been playing D&D since blah, 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 and I know everything I need to know. When can I play? And so I asked them 3 questions in the college. I say, okay, what's the order of creation for making a character? and how do you level up, and how do you export your character and print it and things like that. If they can't answer any of those questions, then I subscribe a lesson. And another thing is I get people that come in that say, "Hey, I watched Matt Mercer for 2 years and now I know everything on the," and that really bothers me. I mean, it happens though. Occasionally, I've had 3 of those so far.
I haven't laughed this hard the whole time, the whole 2 hours of you doing this. I haven't laughed. I haven't guffawed like that. I watched Matt Mercer for 2 years. Oh,
and now
shit.
I'm the shit. Now I know everything. Well,
Yeah.
then there's and I'm not belittling that. I'm just saying that
No,
is something that,
there's a place for that, but if you've watched his videos, you don't know shit. You know how to watch television. That's all you know.
right.
Yeah.
And then so when you come to the college, I want you guys to be there to learn, and then when you're ready, we'll move you into a stream or into one of the games that we're offering. So we have, again, I'll say it again, we have Adventure League, we have a DM or 2 DMs now that I've authorized to DM out of there. I have authorized a West Marches campaign, which is a huge server and a whole bunch of members and moderators, things like that. And then we also have our own in-house stuff, which is Explorers Guild. And that's actually pretty cool because those people support the college. They're actually part of the college, and they're also developing as they're going along. So you're actually helping someone develop product. So with all those 3 avenues of games, you don't need to come in and advertise your game or post a bunch of stuff in there. If you want to do that, just private message me or one of the moderators, and we will help you with that.
Cool.
So we're just kind of talking shop now. So
yeah, so we're basically done, but we're we don't want to abruptly end. So
I'm
if anybody,
never done.
if anybody else, this thing might go on another 2 hours, but we've given all the prizes away, so we'll see the audience drop. But
Yeah.
I just want to thank everybody again for being here and for participating and giving away some stuff. We gave away like 19 prizes worth total over like $300+ worth of stuff. So that's good stuff. And thanks again to Doug Davison for providing all those prizes for us, and to Phil Beck with
great.
PB Publishing for providing stuff. He saw that we were doing the stream, and he just PM'd me real quick, and he goes, "Hey, if you want to give away some of my stuff, go for it." So I did. So yeah, that was awesome. And it just makes me so happy. Not just because it's the holidays or anything right now, but it just makes me happy to give stuff away to people and get people more involved. And like you were talking about earlier, it's amazing how many, even looking at the metrics on my YouTube channel, the bulk of people that are into this right now are people in their 40s. It's not just young people, but it's great to see younger people in as well. Like I was mentioning earlier, an hour or so ago, I mentioned Sid and all of a sudden I can't remember his name now. What's the guy's name? Encounter Roleplay.
Yeah.
Oh, James. Is it James? I'm blanking on his name.
Yep.
Yeah, James and Sid. They're like 21 and 19, those kids, and they're doing a fantastic job over there. So there's all ages, but yeah, the biggest group of people that are in D&D that are playing actively right now are people in their 40s. It's pretty weird.
So I've asked Sid and James to come to the Couples in Gaming. I've also asked the World Anvil guy and his wife to come. So I'm trying to get a lot of different aspects of the gaming community, not just, industry people. I also have like 3 or 4 couples in college that would going to be part of that. So just let you guys know, we're all trying to support each other and promote each other and help each other out.
Yeah, cool. Yep. All right. Well, any final questions from anybody about anything? We'll take them. If not, we'll maybe wrap it up.
Yep. Someone says, "Hey, Rob, I'm 25.
Yeah, good for you, you punk. I'm just kidding.
Get off the lawn.
I remember 25 more than half my life ago. Let's see, when I was 25, that would have been 1991. I was in the theater watching Silence of the Lambs and doing all kinds of other shit.
So since oh wow, I'm gonna say my founding story, and if you guys have already heard this story, you can plug your ears or disconnect. But just real quick, I had a really bad childhood, and I used D&D to kind of escape from my problems when I was young. And with D&D, I was able to help other children, which I didn't know at the time, but as an adult, I know that now. That I helped them with their speech, their reading, writing, math, all that stuff. And then after that, I played off and on throughout the years. I started in '83. I quit playing in the mid '80s because I discovered girls. And then after that, in high school, after high school was done, I thought I figured out girls, but I went back to gaming. And then I quit for a while again, had a long relationship, thinking about getting married, all that good stuff. And then I got back into it in the early 2000s. And then I just kind of kept up on it throughout the years through video games and YouTube and stuff, and looking at books and things. And then in 2011, I bought my first copy of Fantasy Grounds. I didn't like it. I thought it was horrible. I uninstalled it. I thought I wasted $40 and moved on. And then recently in February, I got my license upgraded. A coworker convinced me to connect to his table, and I dedicated myself to finding out how it works. So with Rob Twohy and Digital Dungeon Master and all those different characters, and even Geo and all these people that have played at my personal table, they all taught me how to play. And so that's how I came to this point. And I started a college thing where it was I called it the D&D Church, and I ran it every other Sunday, in which I taught people how to play
D&D
Fantasy
Church.
Grounds and how to set up their characters. And I also recruited people for my game from those training sessions. So then after that, I got another guy named Patty. He's from Scotland area, and he helped me build the community a little bit. He had a European community. I had the U.S., and then we combined our servers after a while. And then I think it was at the end of August or September, I had a few other people like Colin and Nikki Bicky and I gotta say Onswolf, and all those people helped me get this thing off the ground. They actually, I still thank them. I think they're great people. They're not as active anymore, but I still consider them members. They're near and dear to my heart. And also Mars Whip has been my moderator since day one. He's been drugged through the dirt and everything else, but he's still around, and I appreciate that. And this is kind of how it started. So it started in about September, October, and we're over 800 members now. I think we're about 850. So if that tells you how this college has grown, that's basically literally in like 4 or 5 months, it's grown to this point. And I think that we can make 1,000 members by the end of the year. If not, then we'll be close. And I really appreciate you guys spreading the word and sharing the knowledge with other people. And I don't really have a goal as to our population, but 1,000 members is pretty good, especially when your retention is 99.9%. That is huge because most servers have people coming and going. We have 10 people coming and maybe one person going at the most. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's awesome. You got through that whole story without crying. Congratulations.
Yeah.
That is fantastic. Yeah, and I know that the people that are members already understand the significance, but there's a lot of people who can't even imagine what they're missing if they're not involved. You know what I mean? Like you can come in there, you can learn how to use the software, you can get to know other people, you can get in some games, and once you decide you want to play, whether it's D&D or any of the other rule sets, Savage Worlds or Pathfinder or whatever it is, once you get in there, it's just a sea of people that you can talk to, and not only about gaming but about anything. It's just it's just a group of really nice people, and you can get in there and get involved, and you'll always have somewhere to talk to somebody and get into a game and have fun. I mean, it's great.
Yeah, I've talked to people about family, about health issues. I mean, we get along in other ways too, not just gaming, but
Yeah.
gaming is 90% of it. But, it's a place where people come and hang out and spend their time rather than going out drinking and spending their money on drugs and whatever else they're into. So you're not hurting anybody. The only thing I could say is not good about it is you're sitting on your butt, you're not moving. But
yeah, there's that.
But, other than that, it's a pretty good, healthy, at least mentally healthy hobby.
Agreed.
So if anybody has any insight or, knowledge that they want to share at the college, or if you guys have any suggestions, just PM me, man. I'll look at it. I'll listen. But yes, D&D is definitely a good thing. It teaches you reading, writing, math. It keeps you up on all kinds of things. and it also helps people that have social issues, anxiety, all kinds of things. So if you don't like getting out and meeting people in person, it's a good way to connect with others. And I really think that it's a good avenue. And if you haven't subscribed to Rob or Geo or myself, I would consider it. It's worth the money. It's not like we're charging $100 a week or something. It's a really small pittance of what you could be spending on your money, like alcohol or drugs or frickin' a meal you don't really need or whatever. I mean, it's literally the cost of a cheeseburger to do a Patreon subscription.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things. Comes with the territory, but I initially didn't want to do a Patreon, and I had staff members encourage me to do it. So that's something I set up, and I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, and there's a certain amount of people that feel the way we do about the community of, creating fun for people, and so they want to support you. They want to. I have people who email me and tell me, I had your thing from the DMs Guild. I really love it. I didn't know how else to support you, so I went back and bought it again. Like, there's just really nice people out there that you know, want to see to it that you can continue your efforts. And I know, like, there's a few people that do this for their lives. Like, that's their job. They stream and they play games, and it kind of is for me as well, but not intentionally. I mean, I'm just, I'm disabled and kind of semi-retired, and so I have the time to do it. And like I said, I'm not getting rich, but I do appreciate everybody that supports, and monetarily supporting helps, because there are expenses, and there are things that you have to do, but I'm just so happy to be a part of how it all came together for me, all by accident, all 2 years ago. Found the software, started streaming, started playing, met a bunch of people, started a Discord server, had no idea what I was fucking doing, didn't know how to stream, didn't know what OBS was, didn't know how to use Fantasy Grounds, and now look at me, and now the college is there, and Doug is giving you $200 worth of stuff to give away. I mean, it's fantastic.
It is awesome.
It's
And I have talked to Doug a little bit, not personally, like up front and close or on the phone or anything, but I keep him abreast of what the college is doing. I give him like a monthly update. I don't try to bother him too much because I know he's busy. I just say, hey, this is what we're doing. How can we help?
yeah.
And then he just comes back and says, oh, that's great. I also try to get on a personal level a little bit. I'll say Merry Christmas, things like that. I don't just demand.
Yeah, he's a good guy. I mean, for those of you that don't know, when we say Doug, we're talking about Doug Davison, the president of Smiteworks, and he's the guy that bought that software from the original developers, I think from Sweden or Norway, somewhere there. And he brought another guy on with him, John, as a partner, and they've got 3 or 4 employees, and then the newest employee now is Digital Dave, who works for them, and he really made it what it is today and turned it into a thing, because a lot of people have that same story. They got Fantasy Grounds and they're like, what is this piece of shit? And nobody, but it's only because not that it wasn't good, it's just people didn't understand it. The learning curve is kind of tough. And now the Fantasy Grounds College and videos on YouTube, and there's many different people you can talk to and many different ways to get help if you've never used it before. And once you learn what Fantasy Grounds is and what it can do, you will be shocked. You will be mad at yourself that you only found it now. Like, where was this before? Because if you watch any of our videos or come to our games, or even if you just play with other of your friends or guys that you know online, or even like we said before earlier today, we said you can use Fantasy Grounds just in your kitchen table and use it for your personal games that you play with real live people that you can touch and feel and look at and talk to. It's a really good tool, and it's just amazing. And Doug is a really good guy. Doug was in a game, a Wednesday night game. He had to stop playing with us on Wednesday nights because he is just too busy now. I mean, things are getting so good for Smiteworks. He had to hire another guy, and he's just too busy, and he can't play the game anymore. But he's a really nice guy. He's very approachable. He's really good with customer service. And we can't say enough good things about him and that company, and especially the members of the community, the members, the people. There's thousands of people on the Fantasy Grounds forums. And for those of you that don't know, for those of you that are watching maybe the first time, you don't know what the hell's happening, what's Fantasy Grounds, what's all this, just go to fantasygrounds.com and go to the forums, and interject yourself. Go in there and say, hey, I play D&D. What's this all about? And you'll be flooded with, goodwill and people that want to help you. I mean, anything from teaching you how to play the game to one time I was at my sister's house and I was behind a double firewall and I couldn't figure out how to get online with Fantasy Grounds and the port forwarding 1802 and all that. And a guy like walked me through it for 2 hours. I mean, it's just the greatest people ever.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So looks like we're losing people. We're
Oh
losing
yeah, well we've
now.
been for something that probably should have been an hour, which couldn't have been because we had too many prizes to give away. We've been on 3 hours now. We're at the 3-hour mark, so I think it's time to wrap it up. Yeah. So I would just like to say once again, thanks to you, Laroon, and to all your moderators there at the college. Thanks to my moderators. Thanks to all the viewers. Thanks to the subs. Thanks for the cheer bits. Thanks for the donations. Thanks for being a Patreon. Thanks for being a subscriber. Just thank you to everyone for today and for always.
And when is Fantasy Grounds Unity coming out? What's the answer?
I'm going to tell you. I know the date. It is soon.
Okay, soon. Yeah, 3
Yeah,
months.
3 months. Yeah.
Take your
And
pick.
then in 3 months, we say 3 months, right? Yeah, again, for those of you that might not have heard us before, Fantasy Grounds Unity is going to be the best thing ever. They cannot give a date because they don't want to give a date that they can't, and then they don't make the date. So they're never going to tell you a date until it's done.
Right.
Yeah, so.
And so when you people come to the college or even on the Fantasy Grounds forums, it's pretty discouraging at first because you can't just jump into a game. It doesn't work that way. We're trying to make that a little better at the college, but that's one of the number one frustrations that people have is they come in, they want to play. They don't want to learn, they don't want to figure it out, they just want to play. And I understand that, but it is a little bit of a process. So that's why we offer the college.
Yeah,
for that very reason.
That's a good thing to kind of let everyone know is that if you want to play using Fantasy Grounds, it's going to be a minute, but it's worth it. It's your time investment that you'll spend. And I always tell people that come to the stream brand new. They're like, hey, how can I get in the game? I say, you know what? Watch 3 streams first, then get back to me. Because even watching people use Fantasy Grounds can help you a little bit to, oh, look what's going on. I see they move the tokens on the map. They roll the dice over there. They got a thing. They click on that. Oh, I get it. And then they come over and take a couple classes from you guys. And then once you play a few games, like 2 or 3 games, once you do that, then you know at least enough to not be daunted by it because there is a bit of a learning curve. But the only thing I can tell people that have never even opened Fantasy Grounds one time, if you put some time into it, put a few hours into learning how to use it, you will not be disappointed and you will never stop using it.
Yep.
All right, let's shut her down, guys. We could go on forever.
He's in our experts area as well as some other really swell people that understand the game pretty well and even D&D in general. And he's also part of the staff at the Fantasy Grounds official forums. So if you have any technical questions or things like that, you can also come here and get live help as opposed to posting in the Fantasy Grounds official forums.
Right. All right. I'm going to shut it down because if I don't, we won't. So let's shut it down. Thanks again, everybody. I appreciate it.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Take care.
Cheers.
All right. So for those of you watching the stream, I have now gone off voice with Leroon. So the stream is officially over. But I will make a couple statements here at the end. Let me switch over to the slides so you can stop looking at my stupid face that you've been looking at for 3 hours. I would just like to thank everyone again. I am going to give end to stream rewards. For those of you that don't know what that is, hang out, come to our streams and watch, and you'll learn. But there's a couple of economies. There's 3 economies actually in the stream. There's XP, there's 2Es, and there's gold.